Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody tonight? Quick picture. So much going on. So much confusion, so much dealing with idiots. Gold-backed currencies, almost lethality in Brics. Gold price is shooting up. Now, I have this dilemma. I brought in some more IRA money. And so my question is, do I keep it in the safe? How much do I dump into gold? Hi, Kenzie. How are you today? You're thinking? You don't know how you are? I hope you're well. I hope you're preparing yourself for gold. Because the Brics in 2 weeks are going to announce gold standard. Basically, the U.S. has pissed off all these other countries. They don't want to deal with the U.S., so they're all going to gold because there's no other real currency. You can't go to rubles or yuan or yen or Switzerland or anything. So the only thing you can do is go to gold. So gold will certainly be, the gold standard will certainly be used at the BRICS conference. There's no question about it. And I don't think it's just Russia. I think all these countries want it. They're up to like 80 countries now who say, get the fuck out of the U.S. The fiat money's failing. They're all buying gold. So it's not really hard to see what's happening, right? So again, my dilemma is how much physical do I buy with my money I pulled out of my IRA? So we will see. I'm tempted to do a couple ounces, maybe 3-4 ounces, and then see what's happening, and then another 3-4 ounces soon. Because I don't think when they announce it at BRICS, first of all, half the people here won't even hear about it because they'll keep it silent. And then the other problem is it's going to take a while to unwrap the U.S. crying, oh, no, you have to use the U.S. dollar, even though we printed the shit out of it. And they keep thinking, see, here's the mistake. They keep thinking they can just keep printing and there won't be any problems. And you cannot print unlimited money. It's just too much. It's like going to the buffet and eating, and there's New York strip. And I've done this on New Year's Eve where I go and there's New York strips and I go get one and I say, oh boy, it's New York strips. And I go have another one, but after two, I can't have any more. I'm full. And my desire to have a third one isn't there. The desire to have the first one's there. The desire to have the second one after the first one, maybe you're eating half and you're looking at let me have some Chinese food and some barbecue chicken, but you don't want a third one. And that's really what happens, right? So there's a name for that. I can't remember. Anyway, as you can see, I just got home from swim, so I'm a little bit hungry. I didn't have dinner, so it's 7:45, so I got till 8 o'clock, so I'm kind of eating as we're going here. I got a hamburger left. I got one more for my omelet tomorrow, and then I'll probably go get barbecue tomorrow for lunch. Oh, okay, Kenz. Do you got any questions? Please feel free, Kenzie. This is a classroom, right? You're going to learn economics and gold and football and whatever you want to learn. So please feel free to ask. Don't be shy. That's what I do, and it doesn't cost you anything. I don't charge for it. I do charge for football picks. I got a call from a guy in jail in Alabama today. I haven't gotten a text from you. I told you I'm not on Telegram. If you want to text me on WhatsApp. Where are you texting me? If you really want to get me on WhatsApp or email me. You've got the email and that, or just on my home phone, call me or text me on the home phone. I mean, I talk to my friends in the Ukraine and Russia all the time on WhatsApp. So it's a very easy tool to use. But it's not because I'm not ignoring you. I'm not seeing them because I don't know where you're sending them to. So if you're sending them to Telegram, I'm not on it. Anyway, so a guy from jail calls me. And he called me last year for football picks. So I'd give him 5 picks, and if he won, he would give me 20%. And I give him 6 picks last year, in 1 week. And he adds the 7th because he's smarter than me. All 6 of mine win. And the motherfucker bets his own 7th pick and loses. And I'm a little bit upset because if I'm giving you 6 games, that's what the bet should be, is my games. If you want to bet on your own, that's another ticket. But if you're giving me 20% and I'm giving you 6 winners, that's the bet, not 6 plus you're adding. And I get that with some of my guys that I bet with. They tend to, they'll say, oh, we can't bet this over on UCLA or this game or the Georgia under. And so I end up where we have to give them another game, but I do that. And then I got my friend, I just get a flat 20%. I give them picks. Some guys I give 5-6 games. We play a 5-16 teaser. With my one friend, we play. I give him the 2 picks. I said, "Here's the teaser. Boom, boom. $300-400. He bets it, and then I get 20% of the winnings." And that was very successful. We cashed every week but one last year. I'd get Venmo. He didn't have PayPal, so he'd Venmo me, and I'd get the Venmo on. He'd Venmo me on Friday. So Friday I got it, and then we discussed the picks for the next week. He'd make the bets. He'd show me the bets. You got to show me the bets. And this is where I get everything from, Kenzie. I don't trust anybody. So I show me the bets that you made. And then, okay, and then if they win, then I expect my 20% cut. But you get 80%, and off we go. And this guy did this every week. We missed 1 week. And one we got like canceled or something. I was kind of pissed at. There was one game that I think the Cincinnati Buffalo, we had that as a really big bet. And that was the one when the Buffalo player got hurt and cried and they stopped the game. That was like the second part of this big lock because I love Cincinnati whenever I get points. So hopefully Joe Burrow's fine. I don't think he'll miss a whole month and then not play. So anytime you get them as a dog. Kenzie Dare, you are more than welcome to call me, text me, WhatsApp me. I will be happy to talk to you. You can talk to me here. What is it you want to ask or say or comment or question is fine. That's what this is. This is a class. You can go ahead and do that. Anyway, so the guy in jail, apparently it's okay in jail to call your bookie, call your handicapper. So I gave him a couple of baseball games today, but I don't even know how. I don't even remember which ones I gave him. I don't charge him, and I don't get a percentage on the base. I just you see how I do baseball. Anyway, so everybody's getting geared up for football. I got a friend in Vegas. I got a guy in prison in Alabama. All over the place. Some Russian guys. It's nice. I got to change my lead on YouTube. I say I've been doing this for over 30 years. Well, now I've really been doing it since 77, 87, 97, 17. God, 46 years. Holy fuck. But I got to change it to, instead of keep changing it, to say, I've been doing this since 1977. And the first game was the Cotton Bowl, Joe Montana against Earl Campbell. Yes, Notre Dame against Texas. I remember that. And I made the mistake of teasing both teams in the game. Instead of taking the dog Notre Dame and playing it with another, Michigan or something, I took Texas and I took which they were playing, and Notre Dame killed them. So I won the Notre Dame part, lost the bet, but I would have easily won the Notre Dame, See, that's where you really got to notice. You got Joe Montana playing for Notre Dame, Joe Montana, but you got to know you got Joe Montana. See, that's where I come in. This is where I make us all the money. I understand it's Joe Montana. I look at the stats, and then we go ahead and bet it, and then we clean up on it. You had Joe Montana at Notre Dame. We could have made a fortune. And then I remember one guy, I don't know where I think I knew him from school. He had bet the green jersey game. He had taken USC in the green jersey game against Notre Dame. And he lost his ass, and he's crying, I'm going to quit betting football, and that kind of shit happened. Had he known it was Joe Montana on the green jersey game, and they were probably home dogs because USC was like the number one team, he'd have cleaned up had he just bet Joe Montana, right? And that's really the problem. You've got to really know who you're betting. So what do you hear me say? Hey, I'm taking Cam Rising. I'm taking Van Dyke. I'm taking Hartman. I'm taking Caleb Williams. I'm more interested in the offense. Penix, the same thing with the offense. Bo Nix. I don't know what it is. I hear on the radio, Bo Nix has to go on the road. Like, okay, we get that he lost at Georgia as everybody else did. How did TCU do against him? How did Ohio State do against him? How did Michigan do against him the year before? That doesn't mean he can't play on the road. It says nobody can play against Georgia. So we know the quarterbacks. We're not going to bet against Hartman. So if Notre Dame comes out in green jerseys against Clemson or against USC, guess what? It's Hartman. We're not betting against Hartman. Kenzie, what are you talking about? Where are you trying to get a hold of me? I told you I'm not on Telegram because I don't use it. And I was only using it for you. And I don't need the app on it. I got Venmo and these others. So, therefore, hit me up on WhatsApp. You can text me on my phone like my other friends do. You can, you got a couple of options there. So, again, don't go to Telegram and try to get a hold of me and wonder why I'm not responding. I'm not on there. So I never see the message. So just text my phone number. You've got my phone number. You've got my email. I WhatsApp my friend in Russia today. By the way, Russia's winning the war 42-0. They're about to win, but people in Washington are freaking out because really the war is U.S. against Russia. It's got nothing to do with the Ukraine. They're taking the buy. So we're paying Zelensky, so he's sacrificing all the Ukraine people. Most of them have left the country. He's very corrupt. It's a very corrupt government that the U.S. put in for control of the Ukraine against Russia. But don't think for a chance the Ukraine's winning, and don't think for a chance the U.S. doesn't want to end it because they're making too much money selling weapons to both sides. Like, what is that movie? Sherlock Holmes 2, where Moriarty sold weapons to both sides. So that's what's happening there. That war is a W for Russia. I wouldn't bet against them. They got too many men, too many artillery. There's 400,000 Ukrainian soldiers dead. It's just Russia doesn't know what to do because they don't want to kill their own people, them being the Ukrainians. Like Jenna. They don't want to kill Jenna. She's in Dnipropetrovsk, a nothing city. They don't want to kill her because they'll just say, okay, Russia now owns the Ukraine. And then, like they did with Donetsk and not Constanza, that's Romanian, but it's like they did with Donetsk. They just took it over. I had friends in Donetsk. It's funny, I visited them. I remember I took them bowling and everything. Here's a bowling story. So I'm taking my friends Annette and Lena, two pretty Ukrainian girls, and we go bowling. And, we're friends, and I'm taking them out and giving them a good time. And some Russian guy comes up to me, says something in Russia that I don't understand, and shakes my hand. And I go to Annette, I go, what happened? He was congratulating because you're with both of us. And I was just laughing like, oh, doesn't that happen here? So I hear a lot, you're U.S., we're used to Russian guys, not Americans. So that's why they all like the Americans, because we treat the girls very nice there. Anyway, that's a bowling story, a Russian bowling story. But it was good. The girls loved having me there because I would treat for dinners and the pool at the hotel and bowling and, things they normally don't get when they're just living there. Anyway. So when we get into football, those are the keys I'm looking for. Quarterbacks. Who's the Montana? Hartman, Rising, Williams, kid from TCU, Penix at Washington. It's not Penix. He wasn't any good. He was okay at Indiana, then he's not. But this Fresno State coach who's now coaching Washington is very good. So look for Washington to be much stronger offensively. Oregon, I don't know. I mean, they got the Georgia defensive coordinator, and they're scoring 60 points a game. So I don't know. I expect their defense to be a little bit better. All these transfer portal people, I have no fucking idea what to do with them because really they're not that good. These are like third teamers that'll switch from Texas. I'll read like, Wyoming. Oh, they got a Power 5 guy from Texas. Yeah, he probably sat on the bench. He probably sucks. And they're trying to make it sound like, look, they got this Power 5 guy. I don't even know what Power 5 means. It's so stupid. We remember Ben Roethlisberger played for Miami of Ohio. He was pretty good. He wasn't Power 5. I mean, it's just so stupid. Jack Lambert played for, Kent State. That's not Power. That's Mack. Khalil Mack, Buffalo. So I'm tired of hearing this Power 5 crap like it means something. So, let's walk through some college football because it's getting close and closer. It's getting closer, my precious. I was watching this thing, Tolkien, on Tubi. It's so much better than Netflix. I'm watching Tolkien. It's the guy from About a Boy who was like 6, 7 years old when that movie was out. And now he's like grown up and he plays Tolkien as like a 20-year-old, like right after the war, during the war, right after the war, how he, wrote Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and everything else. Very good movie. And don't know where I'm going with it, but I was watching that and I don't know. So we're into football right now. I know there was a reason I told that, but I don't remember what it was. Okay. So let's go off. We start 8:26. It is now 8:10. 2 weeks is the 24th. So it's not this weekend. It's the next Saturday. So 2 Saturdays. We got 8:26 and we started off with Navy Notre Dame. I'm just going to use the lines I've written down. We got 20 points, 48 over under. Notre Dame should be a playoff team this year with Hartman. Right? If you got a guy like Hartman and you got a pretty good defense, you're going to be there. They'll be there the whole way. I'm not sure who can beat them. I don't know. It'll be a good game. Notre Dame USC will be the lock over of the year as long as it's in the 60s. Notre Dame cannot stop USC, and USC cannot stop Hartman. I'm not sure if they play Clemson, but if they do, well, let's take a look at Notre Dame's schedule with our college football booklet. I always have trouble finding the independents. SEC. Pack. Mountain West, ACC. Where the fuck? As soon as I can find the independents, a lot of them moved into the Sun Belt. Here we go. Just in front of the MAC, if you're playing by home. Notre Dame, they start with Navy. Tennessee State, I don't know what they're even playing them for. At NC State, pretty good defense. Hartman played for Wake Forest, not a problem. Central, a weak MAC team. We got Ohio State. September 23rd at Notre Dame. Golden Jesus, Lou Holtz will be there. Era Parsegian, Newt Rockney. At Duke will be a very interesting game because they're going to get fired up for Ohio State, and they'll probably win. And here comes Duke, who's got a really good quarterback, Riley Leonard, and a fairly good team waiting, getting 20 points after Notre Dame beats Ohio State. Then they go to Louisville with a new coach. Then they go to USC, or at home against SC, which will be a 100-point game. And then we got Pitt, and then at Clemson, and then Wake Forest. Hartman will know how to beat them. And then they end at Stanford, who we could beat them with 10 guys here. In the Navy games in Ireland, Dublin. So maybe Notre Dame thinks they're actually Irish, and they think they actually are in Ireland. I don't know. Trying to figure out Notre Dame. So they could lose to Ohio State, Duke, SC, Pitt, Clemson. I don't know. Can they beat Ohio State? With Hartman, yes, and that's a strong over. That's the same over as USC. Ohio State will score. They don't have a defense. Duke's a very explosive team also. That's an over. Louisville, they got their offensive coach back from Purdue, so they could be an over. SC, we know, is an over. So they got 4 overs in a row. Pitt, we're not sure. And then Clemson. Uglia Buglia sucked. They got rid of him. They traded him to Oregon State. And I'm not sure then from there what, are they good defensively? Are they falling apart? I know their quarterback sucks. So you just don't know what you've got in Clemson this year. Probably a decent defense, but they didn't do all. They were mostly running the ball last year. Ugly Buglia sucks. So now he's at Oregon State, so he can suck there. So they're like Alabama. They don't have a quarterback. So I would say Notre Dame makes the playoff. They got to beat Ohio State and USC. Then they'll beat Clemson. Can they do that? They got them at home. The only one that the biggest problem is going to be at Duke. And then who knows what Clemson is. So, again, you're betting Hartman. Now, again, does he stay healthy? You hope he stays healthy. So the first over is Ohio State, 80-point game, easy. Probably an 80-point game with Duke. probably an 80-point game with Louisville and for sure a 90-point game with USC. Clemson, we don't know. I don't know that Clemson's defense is really going to hold Hartman. I don't know that it's that good. They get through this. The lock will be at Stanford if they make it that far and they only have one loss, or if they need to win the Stanford game to get to the playoff, it's 75-0. Stanford sucks. So that's the point. So anyway, so with Ohio State, Duke, and USC and Clemson, they can't afford to lose to Navy. Right? So when you look at it, you go, we can't lose this game. So I think Notre Dame laying 20 down to 14 or so, if you can get it under 14. As far as over or under, well, we got a new coach and a new quarterback at Navy. I'm surprised their coach was good. So Newberry was, I think, their defensive coordinator. So I don't know what you got at Navy. But Notre Dame plays them every year, so it's not going to be a big deal about playing them and beating them. So we like Navy in Ireland, the first game in Dublin. So that should be good. UMass, New Mexico State. I think that spreads down to 7.5. Let's say 44. Love New Mexico State there with their quarterback. Good coach. Jerry Kill was at Minnesota. UMass just sucks. They're a Z team. And New Mexico State's really a B team. They've improved offensively. So the key is when you're looking at a Z team, they don't score. Like UMass is a Z team. They get 17 points a game. They give up 40. That's a Z team. They can't score. They can't stop you. So you love betting those. Here in New Mexico State, they're not a Z team. I think Bobby asked me, well, why is the spread dropping? I have no fucking idea because people just aren't smart. They don't know New Mexico State's coach is pretty good. Their quarterback was very good last year. I wouldn't take UMass in 20. The spread's what, 7.5, 8 now? I can lay one. I mean, that's a certainty. But why would I take UMass in 20? They can't score and they can't play defense. It's not like they got better. Who's running the UMass? And all these guys keep switching and going from Indiana to Washington to Ohio State to Michigan. I mean, it's crazy. So there you go, right off the chute. Navy, New Mexico State. Interesting one, Ohio and San Diego State. Ohio is an over team. They got their quarterback back in Rourke. And San Diego State's always an under team with Maiden, their quarterback, who's back. I don't know. I'm expecting a close game. I'm expecting the dog. I'm expecting, 23-20. San Diego State always has a good defense and a good running game back to Marshall Faulk. And Ohio is a very good MAC team. And so they're kind of, in the same category. And you probably like the dog or the under in the game. The under with San Diego State's defense is probably pretty good. Then we got a Hawaii Vanderbilt. Now, Hawaii's a Z team, but now they're in the Sager, the quarterback's in his second year. The coach is in his second year. Vandy's got Swanson. It looks like their quarterback's back. Vandy didn't score a lot, but they did on Hawaii. Hawaii's a Z team, but I look for them to score more. Not their defense will still suck. So if we look at it like that, I still think Vandy kills them. It's on the island. It's different. But at Vandy, it's a long flight. So they're going to go from Hawaii to California to fucking Vanderbilt, which is in Tennessee. That's a long mother flight. And who wants to go to Vanderbilt? Who wants to go to Tennessee? So that's always been Hawaii's problem is they're okay at home because you got to fly all that way. But then you get nice sunny weather. Here they're coming to Vanderbilt. So I think Vanderbilt will kill them. But let's see. I mean, let's hope Hawaii has an offense this year. USC, San Jose State. Again, I'm going with 30 and over under 63. I don't know what it is currently, but it doesn't matter. It's going to change. It's not till August 26th, so we still got 16 days. We'll talk more about it that week. We'll go through the lines much more stretched. On my Yahoo, I can't even find the lines. But there's one scores and odds. It's like they have some of the games that they don't. They did have all of them, and now they're gone for some reason. So USC explosive, no defense. San Jose State explosive, had a good defense. They all graduated. Now they're supposedly not going to have a good defense. Again, that's coaching. So is the coach gone? Is there a new coach? Is he a good defensive coordinator? Just we don't know. So USC is going to be in the 50s. As we said, we know they got UCLA. We know they got Notre Dame. We know they got Utah. So USC's in no shape to fuck this game up. So they need the game. They're not learning the offense. Quarterback's fine. So all that, they should come out and put up a 50-point first half. San Jose State should light them up a little. They got a very good quarterback, Cordero. So look for San Jose State to get in the 20s, and it'd be a 70, 80-point game. So this should be a good over. Again, it's hard laying 30 because San Jose State's not that bad of a team. They're not UMass, right? So they have a decent team offensively. You got a good quarterback, so he can get you a couple of touchdowns. So it's hard when you lay in 30, okay, they're up 50-10, and then they pull the quarterback. And then Clemson used to do that when they pulled Lawrence, and Ugley would come in, and he'd throw all these interceptions. You could tell he sucked at that point because they bring him in to give him experience. They're up 30, laying 25, and the next thing you know, they're not covering because Ugley throws 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter and doesn't add points. I mean, you could tell right away he sucked. That's the problem with these quarterbacks. They're 5 stars out of high school. That doesn't make them good quarterbacks. And then can they read a defense? That's why the Ohio State quarterbacks and Alabama quarterbacks can't. They can't read defenses, so they go into the pros and they suck because it ain't. They're not playing Indiana and Purdue, and it's not a Big Ten schedule. Let's put it that way. All right. So we'd like the over USC. Florida International, Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech's got the Boise quarterback, I think. Hey, Bobby Bo. Yeah. Here is Kenzie again. She wants me to respond to her text. I says, I'm on WhatsApp or email you got my email or leave me a text on my phone. So this is what bothers me. I can get texts from today from Russia. Daria texted me, everything's good, sends me a picture, not a problem. Kenzie can't do that. But my friend in Russia can. In the middle of a fucking war, she's got no problem going, well, here we are, boom, boom, boom. And but Kenzie can't do that. So that's the thing. Well, we're talking college football right now. So I went through the Notre Dame schedule. So they really need this first game against Navy. They're laying 20, but we got Hartman. So look out for that. So I got Notre Dame, New Mexico State, the under in the Ohio game, Vandy, the over in the SC game, and we're up to Florida International, LTech. Daria got her teeth done yet? I gave her the last money so she could pay the dentist for the implants. She said she's got an appointment. So she went, and I guess they cut the gums so they can put the implants in. She's getting 2 implants, and they get stitches, which came out. So she said she's going to the dentist tomorrow. I gave her the last payment, but I've been giving her the same amount. But if you look at the FX, back when I started this, was like $55, $60 to the dollar. It's up to 98 rubles. So $100 buys you 98, or $100 buys you 9,800 rubles, where before it was 6,700 rubles. So she's got all this little extra money because I don't think the cost went up. This is just the FX rate between U.S. and Russia because of the war. And so she's loving it, man. I just went and bought dinner, and Alina needs an outfit for school, so she's going to buy her an outfit. But yeah, she's going to the dentist tomorrow. She'll get 2 in. Her teeth are pretty fucked up because in Russia, it's not like they go to the dentist like we go to the dentist. So she's got some teeth issues that we'll have to take care of, but I can't do the whole mouth. It's like pick 2 or whatever. I told her, get a bridge. I said, this is a bridge. Just get a fucking bridge. These 2 teeth were knocked out in a softball game, and these 4 are plants, and then you just shove it in, and then you got a 6 teeth bridge. So just get the fucking bridge. What are you worried? You need implant. I'm not getting an implant. That's crazy. Yeah, so go ahead with popcorn. So yesterday when you made the popcorn, it is the red plastic jar. Yeah, it's the Orville Redenbacher. I just get the off-brand from Meyer. How do you make it? Because I got a jar here, but it says I need some kind of funnel piece. So it's just been sitting here. Have you ever had any painful dental procedures? Well, just some kid. So we're playing softball, but the way it was a practice, right? And you had 3 guys on your team. There was like 9 guys. So you'd have 6 or 7 in the field, and then somebody's kid, and then 3 guys batted. And as we batted, we actually ran. So you're getting that practice in. So I'm catching because I just scored or whatever. I'm waiting to hit. And the guy in front of me, it's a ground ball to third. The third baseman boots it because he couldn't catch. He was not a good third baseman. And so the guy realizes it, and as he starts running, he whips his bat back at me. And in super slow motion, I see the bat coming at me like this, and I'm trying to raise my mitt in front of my face, but I can't. It's like I froze. So I'm seeing the bat hit me, and I'm trying to get the mitt up, and the bat just goes here. And so these 2 got knocked out. These were fine, and then this tooth got knocked out. So that's probably the worst that happened at the dentist. Once I had like 10 cavities when I was like 9 years old. And then I have a couple of crowns, but they're not painful. I did have 2 of the wisdom teeth pulled, but that wasn't no big. My dentist, he was great. He'd give me the numb, and you wouldn't feel anything. So I'm having a wisdom teeth out. I'm having a root canal. Nothing hurt. You just get numbed and you don't feel anything. Although you see the smoke coming out of your mouth, it does worry you and you don't feel it. But I really never had, just a couple of crowns and the wisdom and a root canal. But outside of that, I mean, nothing really was like that painful. But the 10 cavities, the guy I don't think used good. He didn't numb me good because I could feel some of that. But anyway, so the popcorn, I get a pot. Let me show you. So I get a pot like this. Right now I got my whatchamacallit's in there. My ginger roots. So I shave them and then I keep pouring water in there and letting it. So anyway, you put olive oil in there and you put 2 or 3 kernels. You let them pop, then you know it's hot enough. Then you dump in What I do is I dump in 2 handfuls of kernels. So I don't make it too much, but it's enough. I put it on 6 medium, olive oil in there, and then I kind of shake it to make sure the kernels go to the bottom, and that's it. And then I just, then I'll let it pop out, and then I pour it in a bowl, and no salt because of my foot. I'll put butter, and then I melt the butter on it, and that's fine. Cinnamon on it once in a while. The dark chocolate I might put on it. It's hot, so all that shit will melt. It's really good, the dark chocolate with it. Or the cinnamon, it's fine. But with my feet, no salt. My feet are finally better. My feet, my knee, and everything, because I had the damn aspartame and the crystal light. So I threw all that shit out. My foot got, my feet, my knee got better. So that's how I do the popcorn. So really, all you're doing is cooking the kernels, basically. And you're just heating it up as if you were doing, coffee or tea. Like the coffee, I just in a coffee pot, and you're heating it up, and that's what you're doing with the kernels, and they're popping. So I don't know what this funnel is. Yeah, I was back catching, and I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't really the catcher, but just the way that thing was. And this was my brother's wife's brother. And the thing is, he never really apologized, nor like a year or two later or 10 years later when he would see me, he'd never come up to me and say, "How you doing?" This was an attorney, and I hated that whole family. I hated the wife. I hated the parents, who were a bunch of assholes. A rich doctor who thought his shit didn't smell. The wife didn't work, thought her shit didn't smell. Just rich people who were just assholes, who aren't smart enough to buy gold, I doubt. Yeah, no, it's fine. I just had some, this afternoon. So anyway, so first you get it hot. So you pour in your olive oil, not too much, enough to cover the bottom. So it's a little bit of olive oil, but not too little. So enough. Put in 5 kernels. When you hear them pop, pour in the rest of the kernels. And then shake it up to keep the kernels on the bottom to get them cooked so they pop. And then you're at the movies. So no, it's good. And like I said, butter, but I wouldn't know. Cinnamon or dark chocolate's fine. Just throw a few handfuls in a pot and put stove on medium for a few minutes, and then melt butter and done. Well, because you don't know the heat. Really, when you cook, even when you're cooking steaks or hamburgers on the frying pan, or an omelet or mushrooms or broccoli, you don't want it on a cold pan. You want the pan hot. And if you watch Gordon Ramsay, what does he do? If you're going to cook a steak, he wants it hot. And then when you put it on, you hear that crackle. So when you're cooking, you always want it warm first. And it's warmed up, then you want to throw in whatever you're preparing. So if you're today I had a hamburger omelet, right? So I broke up the hamburger like this. I put it in the pan after it's heated up. Onions, red, yellow peppers, mushrooms, and broccoli. And I cook it all up. I let the onions in first because I want to kind of burn them a little bit. Burnt onions are great. Then after a couple of minutes, then I throw the egg on top. Then after about 3 minutes, I put it in the oven at about 290 and let it bake for about 3 or 4 minutes. It's fantastic. It's so the egg is like this, so it's like the pita, right? So it's almost like you're putting a hamburger in a bun on the pita, only it's an egg. But the egg it's just got a great taste, and all the veggies. It's such a healthy, between the eggs and the vegetables, it's such a healthy meal. And that's my lunch. But I didn't have time for dinner, so I went swimming, and now I'm back. Tomorrow I think I'm going barbecue for lunch. Now, I got a question for you, Bobby. Actually, I asked the other people too. So I cashed in most of my IRA on Monday, actually Sunday night. I didn't see any trouble with gold, so I cash it in Sunday night. And I get it, but it hits Monday. It says, okay, you've done this withdrawal. Hits the bank Tuesday. I go in at 9 o'clock. There it is. There's the money. Tuesday morning at 9:05. Give me my money. They give me the money. Surprisingly, she says, well, normally we have to do it in advance. Not that she wouldn't do it. And I said, well, if you can, if you only can give me half, I'll come back for the other. She said, no, we got it. Because it was 9:05 in the morning, right? On a Tuesday. And these idiots aren't thinking about pulling their money out of the bank because they listen to whatever the news says. Anyway, so they basically had the money and I got my money in the safe. I get my paycheck today. So now I'm rolling in money and I'm like, how much gold do I take out? I got 2 weeks for Bric. No, Brics is not the 17th is next Thursday. It's that Monday, I believe, the 20th it starts. So they're definitely going to announce gold standard. They're definitely going, because they all want to get, there's like 90 countries now that want to get out of the U.S. pressure point, because the U.S. is bullies that blackmail everybody. If you want this loan, you have to do what we say. If you want this, then you got to do that. And when we raise interest rates, we don't give a fuck. And everybody's tired of it. But if you went one-on-one with the U.S., you didn't have a chance. But now we got Russia and China and OPEC and Saudi Arabia and South Africa. Now other these little countries are like, yeah, we'll join. So I don't know if they're jumping in from the frying pan into the fire, trusting Russia and China or not. But there's like 80, 90 countries who now all want out of the dollar. So it's gone. But there's no currency. So they'll lie to you and they'll say, well, there's no currency they can go to. Yes, there is. It's the golden currency. That's the way out. And that's why all the central banks have been buying gold. So now I'm thinking, well, I could buy 5 ounces. I don't know how much to hold back and how much gold to buy. And I just hit my 50 ounces. And I could pretty much, with all the money I got out, about buy another 10 ounces. And I'm debating, I think I'll buy 2 or 3 tomorrow. And then let's see, because I'm getting paid also. Then I'm moving I have like a $9,000 credit card between buying gold, because I was panicking last year going, I better buy it before it goes up. And then the trip to Lisbon, the trip to Barcelona. But Fifth Third now offers a 0% for 21 months, and I got a $14,000 credit limit on it. And so I'm like, so I'm going to move the 9 or 10, or I got a couple grand else, move all that over and pay 0% for 21 months. I'll just divide it by 21. It'll be $400 or $500 a month. Not a problem. We'll even see how long it goes, because I'm betting it's 5-6 months, and then they won't recognize money anymore. So we will see what happens with that. So I'm cleaning house now, between cleaning the credit card and then pulling my IRA out. I didn't see a reason. Now, I know you guys asked me about, gold stocks. And my problem is, when the foreigners pull their $35 trillion out of our system between banks, houses, and the stock market and the bonds, the stocks are going to collapse, right? Because they're pulling it all out. Because I saw something that BlackRock actually moved all their money foreign. Why they didn't put it in gold? Because they're idiots, because they're Keynesians. But they moved it out of the U.S. into Europe or wherever the fuck they moved it to. So here the U.S. is moving their money out. So it's coming and it's going to crash. So I don't want to be in my Newmont Mining or these other. And I looked at Newmont Mining when I pulled my money, and it was sitting at 40. So I'm like going, I sold it at 60. And I used to, like I said, buy it buy it at 10.30 and sell it by 2.30 and make 70 cents on 1,000 shares. And that's the only way to beat the stock market, $700 here and there. And so that's what I did. And I haven't done it. It's been at least a year, maybe two, where I just grabbed the money and put it in gold. So anyway, we got room for some more, at least 2 ounces tomorrow. The price is still dirt cheap. And again, we don't care, as Egon said, we don't care about. It's 1913. Silver at 22.71 is a joke, and then gold at 1913, which again, it's not real. I finally got Egon. I have an Egon one that I watched the other day, and I don't know if I marked the time on it, but it was perfect. He says, I think I showed it to you last week. We've never had a gold price. The best way to put it is gold and silver are not in a free market. They're in a government controlled price. They're in a government market. They're price fixed. Where the eBay and the Canadian Club and the cars are in a free market. So most of it's free market, but gold and silver, because the one thing Egon said is it'll make the government look bad that if it really went, because then you could see gold going to $30,000 and everybody would be, what the fuck's going on? And nobody would want to stay in the dollar and they wouldn't be able to rip everybody off. So that's what's happening with that. I don't know that it's going to be 2000 August 20th, Bobby. Where is the announcement taking place? Well, the meeting's in Johannesburg. They'll be announcing, I'm not sure they'll call it a gold standard or we're coming out with money backed by commodities, something like that. But it's definitely should be announced during that meeting that it's a new dollar backed by commodity, maybe backed by gold. And then when does it come out? Again, I think very quickly, according to Alligator, they're all set and ready to go. Russia, first of all, is in a war with sanctions, so they're kind of fucked. Everybody else wants to get out of the dollar, so they're all kind of fucked. They realize the dollar is toilet paper. So nobody really wants to be in the dollar who's in the dollar, except for, London and maybe Germany and Canada, but that's about it. Some of the West, I don't even know if France wants to be in it. Italy and Spain and Monte Carlo, I don't know if they want to be in the dollar at this point, but I would think if they had a choice, they'd be in gold. I think anybody that knows what the fuck's going on wants to be in gold. And again, it'll just be a transfer system. So you'll see dollars exchanged for gold all over the world. Now, I don't think it's for us. It'll be for Russia or China to buy oil from Saudi Arabia. They'll pay them in gold. But it'll still knock the price of gold way up. Now, will me and you be able to go and buy this currency? I don't think we will, but I don't think it's right now for people. It's more for governments and big companies so they can buy oil with it, but it will affect the gold price up. And we don't want to be in dollars, so we've got to be careful. We keep trading our dollars for gold and silver, Bobby. You don't want us to be stuck with dollars. And did you change your contract to get paid in gold yet, Bobby? Instead of that fiat currency crap that you're going to go, why did I get all this money in dollars that they're worthless? So anyway, Don't get caught up on silver to 2K August 20th and then get upset it didn't move. That's not what you look at. We know it's going there. We can't give a date, as I keep getting asked by everybody, what's the date? What's the date? Like, you can't date that kind of stuff. Like I said, I can date the Notre Dame Navy game because I know it's August 26th, but I can't date when gold and silver go up. I know the U.S. is fighting to keep it down, but once the Russians and Chinese and everybody, they need gold to go up, A, to pay off their debt, and B, there's not enough gold to go around. And once gold hits 1% of the fucking population, it's at a 0.5%. There's not enough gold to cover the 1%. So once it starts going, and silver is right along with it, and the price will just go through the roof. So that's my dilemma tomorrow: is how much physical do I buy from Mark McGuire. At least we can watch his show tomorrow. There's no guest on it, and it's just hysterical. The guests he has on it are just so stupid. I can barely watch any of these guys because they're all either a bunch of idiots or they keep telling me what we already know. Oh, they're coming out of the gold standard. Yeah, I've heard it about 15 times now. I don't need to watch half these guys. And they're just I don't even, I think they do it so they can say, look, I told you the housing market was going to hit in 2008. Yeah, really? Okay, yeah, so did I. But, nobody's going to know I did. Just like here, nobody's going to know I'm telling you 2 years ago to buy gold and silver, and you can check all the videos, but that's okay. I'm just telling whoever wants to listen. But I don't do it so I can say, look, I told you that gold was going to 50,000. When it does, we'll be rewarded. And well, I don't even know if we'll be rewarded. It'll eventually go into gold will be the currency. And that's what's going to happen. Gold will be the currency. Hey, Luke. Yeah, well, that's conservative, Luke. I think it'll be 5, but it's going to take time. But I can't wait to hear these idiots when it goes to 100 or 200, and they all like, well, gold. I can see it getting the $30 an ounce, maybe 35, and you just shake your head at these guys because they need the gold and silver to be repriced. They got to pay off their debt. I don't understand how everybody thinks these governments don't have to pay their debt. The U.S. owes $35 trillion. Is it just going to go away? So our mortgage and our credit cards and our car payment just goes to zero? We don't really owe it? Is that what they're saying? I mean, what a bunch of crap that is. So no, the U.S. owes 32, 33 trillion. I just like a nice round number, so I call it 35. That's what they owe. Who's going to borrow from them? So they need to print to pay the debt. This is the beauty of it. So they'll print $2 trillion a month. Nobody's going to buy it. So JP Morgan prints it, and then the Fed buys it in the form of bonds. Nobody else wants dollars because they know they'll never get paid back on it. And basically, it's the default city, and then that's it. And then here comes gold and silver. But what was I going to say? So they're talking about bail-ins by the banks where you can't get your money. Or they're going to make you buy bonds. Well, you got to buy a 20-year bond and, for whatever. But we'll give you 12% interest. Yeah, but you're not going to be able to pay me back. If you get into a situation where your bank won't release your money and makes you buy bonds, get the fuck out. Say thank you, but give me my money and I'm putting it in the safe. And this is the problem I'm warning you. This is why I just went and pulled my 401k, transferred it to my bank. It's in my safe. It's not at the bank. I have more risk in the bank than at home. Okay. So the reason is I don't know and I don't trust the bank that I can get the money out. Right now, I was fortunate. Now, I don't have much left in my IRA, which I'm happy about. And I've been able to buy gold with it. So when I go to the gold store, he's got it and it's a good price. It beats eBay. So I'm happy. So again, I'll go buy some of it. Again, I'm kind of torn. I'm kind of worried about, will I still have a job in 6 months? Not that because of my work quality, but the economy, right? Is Harley going to be able to sell motorcycles in 6 months? I have no idea why Tesla stock is so high. They can't sell. They keep talking, if you really read it, finally, they talk about the production numbers. So they're producing the car. But when it comes to selling it, they can't. And when it comes to sales price, they keep cutting it. They're down to like $15,000. They used to be 50. I guarantee you to make money, it probably costs them $25,000 a car, so they got to sell it for 40. So by them selling it for 20, they're losing money on every vehicle they sell, and there's no demand for it. So I don't know why Tesla stock's so high. I don't know why half these stocks are so high. I think it's just people panicking. They're getting out of the banks, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't listen here, so they don't buy gold, which would be the safest place to store. You have no risk. It can't go to zero. It's in your hand. Nobody's taking it from you. And yet it just mystifies me how people, I'm in oil stocks. I'm in Amazon stocks. I'm like, why are you in stocks? So it just blows my mind. Are you in it to make money or are you in it for safety? If you're in it for safety, you should be in gold. Now, the kicker is once gold goes to free market price, not government JP Morgan price fixed, which is what it's at now. It's not at free market, it's price fixed. 1913 today. It's price fixed. That's where they put it. That's where they're buying their derivatives and their options, and they're putting it there. It's not the market. That's what Brics is going to do. The whole thing where they need the price to go to a free market price. And that'll be the end of COMEX. And that's, I don't know if it'll happen the 20th probably, but soon. And that's what's going to happen. So that's what we're looking for at the Brics conference on the 20th, football on the 26th, pro football on September 7th. All right, I got to change course for real quick. All right, Bobby, you need to explain this to me. So the Tigers had a no-hitter going, pulled the pitcher after 6 innings because he's got 85 pitches. 2 relievers come in, and they pitch the no-hitter. It takes 3 guys to pitch 9 innings. And everybody's like, that sucked. So now the guy pitches a no-hitter who was from the Tigers, Lorenzen, pitches 125 pitches. Did his arm fall off? Is he going to be in the hospital for the next 6 weeks because he pitched 125 pitches? Fuck no, he got the no-hitter, he pitched 9 innings, you don't take him out. And my biggest point is, if I'm hitting and this guy's on the mound and I know I can't hit him, I'm fucked. But as soon as you bring in the reliever, my mental capacity turns positive, going, oh, I can hit this guy, but I couldn't hit that guy. I can't hit Koufax, I can't hit Gibson or McLean or Nolan Ryan, but when I get the reliever in, I'm all excited. And that's my point. So they're making a big deal that he pitched 125 pitches. I'm like, okay, that's normal. I'd be pitching the guy on 3 days rest if it was me. You're hot. You're gonna pitch. You take 3 days off and you'll pitch. Then you're gonna go back out there and you're gonna pitch a full game. And I would plan on pitching all my pitchers full games unless they're getting crushed. So I don't understand that whole thing about 125 pitches. Like Like his arm's he's gonna need major surgery because he pitched that many. Any comments, Bobby, on that? Isn't that just incredible bullshit? I don't really understand that. But anyway, I just wanted to get that in because it just pisses me off that they keep dicking around with 100 pitches. Like if they go 105, oh my God, the guy's going to need a month off. Yeah, I hate that pulling the pitchers. I liked Randy Johnson, Greg Maddux. Well, you had to hit against them, so I'm sure you shit in your pants. But when the reliever came out, you got Johnson on the mound, and the reliever comes out. You're just smiling, going, "All right, we're going to win the game." They pulled him. I hear you, Bobby. It totally ruins the game. That's why I don't watch it. So I looked on the trade that the Tigers gave up this guy. They got some Chinese second baseman who's hitting 220 in AAA or whatever. He's an infielder, and I'm just – this is what you got? You give up – it's like when they traded Verlander and they got nobody, and J.D. Martinez and they got nobody. Here they give up Lorenzen. He can pitch his no-hitters, and you gave him up, and you got a Chinese second baseman who can hit 220. Really, this is the problem with the GMs. They keep getting prospects, but the prospects aren't any good. These guys have no idea what they're looking for, so it makes it really ridiculous. Yeah, I respect Randy a lot and enjoyed the challenge. Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you couldn't even see the ball; you would just hear it. Oh, okay, the pitch is on its way. I can hear it. Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about, Luke. The Lorenzen from the Tigers got the no-hitter, and he pitched all 9 innings, and he pitched 125 pitches. That's exactly what we're talking about. So it's just what my point was. The Tigers had their no-hitter with 3 pitchers, and they pulled the guy Manningham who was pitching it after like 85 pitches in the 6th inning, and you're like, the guy's not in the hospital. He pitched 125 pitches. He's fine. He's not on the DL. He's not in the hospital. He didn't need surgery because he pitched 125 pitches. Because for some reason, these idiots think that 100 pitches is it. Oh, once we hit 100, we got to take the guy out. What the fuck? Where are you coming up with that? As we know, not every pitcher is the same. Some can probably pitch 200, like Nolan Ryan and Mickey Lolitz, Gibson and Koufax and all these guys, and then some have to maybe they pitch 150. Well, what the fuck is 100? And yet so many pitchers in baseball are injured. So it obviously doesn't work. It creates a terrible game because now each team's got like 10 relievers and all of them suck. Maybe you have one major leaguer in there, and you have maybe 2 good starters. I don't know too many teams that have 3 good starters. Maybe Houston now that they got Verlander. The Mets had Verlander and Scherzer, but I don't think they had Carlos Carrasco or something, but nothing good. Bobby, I never forget about 15 years ago, something you might remember. That one pitcher from Detroit who had a perfect game in the 9th with 2 outs and the batter grounded out, but the first base umpire blows the call and costs him no hitter. That's why they have instant replay. I do remember that. And he was clearly out, but they didn't have instant replay. And then that's why there's instant replay in baseball. And now these umps are so bad they can't call strikes and balls. Yeah, it really sucks. But they didn't pull the pitcher. He pitched all 9 innings. They didn't see. That's what's so hypocritical about it. If it's a no-hitter, then the guy can go 120 or 130 pitches. But if it's just a regular game where he's given up 1 run and it's the 7th inning, they got to pull him. And the thing, I hate the Tigers announcer is the worst announcer in any sport I've heard. He's worse than Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. That's how bad he is. And Chris Collinsworth. He's that bad. And he'll sit there make such stupid comments like it's above the strikes, it's above the strike zone, it's below the strike zone. That pisses me off because that's communism, where they're trying to change the word, where before it'd be low or high. Now it's above or below. But that's what communism is. They try to change the words around on you. They're trying to control you. So I hate the guy for doing that, but he's probably too stupid. He probably doesn't even know what he's doing. And then he keeps talking. These must be the stupidest players. I played Little League. I started when I was 5 years old, and I knew to hit the cutoff man because I was the second baseman. I knew how to go from first to third and second to home. I knew how to run. I knew it's a fly ball. And this guy, the Tiger manager, yeah, I'm teaching him to, the ball goes in, the ball goes out, it's up, it's below. Here's how you pitch. I'm like, oh my God, these guys don't know this in the major fucking leagues. Are you kidding me? Why are we discussing this on the broadcast? Number one, then I'll say, oh yeah, this guy's really hitting good, or he's really his fucking ERA is a 6, or the guy's hitting 190, and he's talking about it's a soft hit or a hard hit. I'm like, what the fuck am I listening to? The guy hit, it was a soft single versus a hard single. Was it a single? And who gives a fuck? Yeah, Bobby. The guy was not even a great pitcher, and that was one night to make history, and they screwed up the poor bastard. Yeah, he never did anything. I don't even know if he won 10 games that year. What you think of all the big-time college football changes happening in 24, OU in Texas, Oregon and Washington to the Big Ten. Then, of course, the 12-team playoff starting as well, so next season is going to be even better. Well, I don't understand the changes. I don't buy it's for money because I don't really understand. Texas had a huge contract, a huge TV deal, so I don't understand that. Notre Dame doesn't want to join because they got a big TV deal. So I really don't understand. It's a money issue. They're going to have a very tough time, Oklahoma and Texas, making the playoff because you get to play Alabama and LSU and Georgia, Tennessee, and you ain't winning anything. They can't beat those teams. So I don't get why Oklahoma and Texas would have left the Big Eight. I surely don't get USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington leaving the Pac-10. There's a reason it's the Pac-10. It's on the Pacific Coast. So now they're going to play 6 games in the Midwest. They want to go travel to Michigan, travel to Ohio State, travel to Penn State, go play Iowa, Minnesota, and then then they get their 5 or 6 games at home. Look at West Virginia. They're struggling again in the Big 12. Half their games are in Texas or Baylor or Texas A&M or Texas Tech. They can't do shit. I really don't understand. If you look at the NFL as a model, they cover it, but what do? They got the NFC West. So you had all the Rams, the Niners, and Arizona. Well, why do they do that? The only team that's fucked up in the NFL is Dallas is in the NFC East because Philly hates them and the Giants hate them and the Redskins hate them. So that's basically everybody hates each other there. But if you look at the NFL, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, everything is regional. So I don't get what college is doing by making it not regional. Then I'll hear, well, then Michigan can recruit in California. Well, I got news for you. They can do that now. They don't actually have to play USC or UCLA to recruit in California. I'm pretty sure Notre Dame's been recruiting California kids for years. Ohio State, you get guys from Texas and Florida. So I really don't understand what the point is. If it's just about money, I don't get that the Pac-10 can't say, let's renegotiate our TV contract. we want to make as much as the Big Ten. I don't see what the problem is. They've got USC. They've got the best conference: USC, UCLA, Utah, Oregon, Washington State, Oregon State, Arizona, and Arizona State's not bad. So you've got 8, 9 really strong teams there. I don't get why they can't do it. Now, one of the problem is the stupid Saturday night game that starts at 10 o'clock at night. I don't know what they're thinking there. So it's a time zone thing for the Pac-10. So they need to move their games up a little bit. Maybe that's what they're trying to do is, well, we'll play Michigan. Yeah, but if they play Michigan at noon, it's 9 in the morning for them. They're fucked. They'll never win those games. So, I mean, I don't really get it, although I do get they're fucking themselves over with the late night Saturday night game. That is definitely hurting them because there's no viewers, except for me and a few degenerates like us who's watching USC and Utah at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Or let's go Oregon State and Washington State. Who's watching that game Saturday night at 10? Only us because we bet the under. But, I mean, that's, I think, their problem. So the East Coast, so the SEC at noon, you got a big audience. But how does the Pac-10 do a noon game? That's 9 in the morning there. So they can't. I think their last game should be the 7 o'clock game. But then you're competing with the Ohio State or the Penn State night games or Notre Dame night, or, the SEC has Alabama plays a night game, LSU Saturday night. So there's that's, I think, their biggest problem is their time zone. But, you got to do what the pros do. They play at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock on the West Coast, and then the night games at 8 o'clock. And I think that's what the West Coast has to do is have 4 o'clock games and 7 o'clock games. And then it works for pros, so it'll work for college. But this 10 o'clock game they can't make any money on it because who the fuck's watching it, right? I don't even know, unless it's USC, Utah, or Oregon, Washington. I don't know that it's really watched. And even them, that's not New York, Chicago, these big Ohio, Alabama, these big markets. That's my thought on it. The 12-team playoff, it should have been 16 teams in 1970. It's always been incredibly stupid that they don't have playoffs. Several teams got fucked over many times. In the 70s, it was Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Michigan, Ohio State. Fuck, put them in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, that'll be good at 12-team playoffs. Like I said, TCU and Kansas State should have been in there. Ohio State never should have been in there. And Georgia, now maybe you put LSU because they beat Alabama, so maybe they got in. And then you certainly should have had Utah in there, and either Oregon or Washington, whoever won their game, should have been in there. And then I'd like to see, the Fresno States or, Cincinnati, whoever goes that undefeated should be in there too. So I'm glad about the 12 team. And for us, it'll be really helpful because now we won't get fucked when half the team like UCLA sits out and we lose the bet because they're all sitting out, but they didn't say they were sitting out. So now we'll be able to there'll be 12 teams. We can bet all 12 of the teams and not worry about them sitting out to get ready for the draft. What do you mean get ready for the draft? What the fuck does that mean? Yeah, I got to get ready for work. Well, Jesus, what does that even mean? So yes, 12 teams would be good. Much better for us betting wise. I don't understand these guys on the radio. Well, these games would be meaningless. What do you mean they'll be meaningless? What the fuck are you talking about? There's not any game on the schedule. The only meaningless game is when Notre Dame plays Tennessee State. That's meaningless. All the normal games. The game against Navy is meaningful. They don't win that, and then they lose. They got Ohio State, USC, Louisville, Duke, and Clemson on their schedule. So good luck running the table, Notre Dame. Now, the question is, why are they even scheduling Ohio State? That doesn't do them a favor by scheduling Ohio State. USC is a rivalry. Okay. That makes sense. And they're both very good. Where USC 2 years ago sucked. Pittsburgh's up and down. Clemson was good, is on their way down. They don't have a quarterback this year. The coach is, he's like the emperor has no clothes. Debo Sweeney is now like, yeah, he's really not that good. Uglia Buglia really fucked him up. See, he was good because of Deshaun Watson. Then Trevor Lawrence came in and he wasn't that good. Couldn't beat Ohio State. Couldn't beat Georgia. And then here comes Uglia Buglia, and I don't even think they win the ACC. And now the quarterback now sucks. So Clemson's going down. It's always the quarterback. Michigan went down, they didn't have a quarterback. Notre Dame went down, they didn't have a quarterback. Harbaugh's got to be the worst quarterback coach in the history of the world. Everybody thought it was great. It was Andrew Luck, who got coached by his dad, Oliver Luck, not Harbaugh. So Harbaugh takes credit for quarterback coaching. All the quarterbacks come into Michigan, and they all suck. How can they all suck? Even now, J.J. McCarthy, he sucks. So, yeah, Bobby, we'll see about that. But, yeah, all the games are meaningful. And we'll have a lot better bets because we'll have 12 teams, which will mean 20 teams will be fighting for 12 spots. So they'll have to win. And in college, that means they got to win by 30 points. They can't. If they only win by a field goal, they drop in the rankings because they should win the game by 30 points. So there'll be a lot of beauty picks for us this year or next year. Bama, LSU, Georgia going to running through these defenses. Well, Georgia, you can't stop. And Georgia's got the defense. LSU, hopefully they got a better quarterback. But I do like Brian Kelly. Bama's on their way down. They don't have a quarterback this year. They're going to lose 4 or 5 games. They got to play Texas and A&M again, as well as LSU and Tennessee. That's 4 losses they can potentially have. And they don't have a quarterback, but they won't change their offense. So they're running a wide receiver offense, no running, and a quarterback that sucks. Yeah, good luck. Good luck, Alabama. Next year, they're supposedly having a good quarterback, but I don't even buy any of that 5-star shit. Well, he's a 5-star. He must be good. Well, it's high school. Let's see him go up in class and play college players, and then let's call him a 5-star. Besides Ohio State and maybe Michigan, I think Oregon and Washington can hang. Well, I love Washington's coach. Oregon will wait and see. UCLA needs a little better defense, as does USC. So they need to crank up their defense. So Oregon, I would think, should be the best defensive team because they got the Georgia defensive coordinator. If he installs the Georgia defense and can start getting some Georgia-type players there, then look for Oregon to be really tough. Washington's coach from Fresno State was an offensive coach. UCLA, we know, and USC, we know, are both good offensive coaches, lousy defensive coaches. So we like it just the way it is. We bet the over in 90% of the Pac-10 games, and they're all over at halftime. But Ohio State's turning into Washington in a USC. Their defense is sucking. Look at Georgia puts up 43 on them. I mean, that's not a typical Ohio State defense. But, yeah, OU going to get killed by the top dogs of the SEC, like the teams you mentioned. Yeah, they can't. They don't have defense. And with this – okay, this is the Clemson defensive coordinator. Their defense sucked last year. Okay, now he'll bring in more players. So let's see if he brings in the Clemson defense. I doubt it, but we'll see. And A&M's supposed to be better this year. They brought in an offensive coordinator, the guy from Louisville, who was with the young girl, and he got fired, and Bobby Petrino. So he coached Atlanta, and then he quit, and then he goes to Louisville, and they catch him with the young girl, and then next thing you know, he's fired. Now he's the A&M offensive coordinator. Is he a good offensive coordinator? Yes. Do they have the type of players for him? Who knows? I doubt it. But they should be a little bit better offensively, and they have a good defense. So do they have a good quarterback? I don't know. That's the unknown, but they should be better. And we'll see when they play Alabama. Because if they got a good offense, they'll put it up on they'll light up Alabama. We'll see. I agree. When we get bets going, we tune into a game anytime. That's the whole reason we like college football and pro football is the betting. We don't watch baseball because it's just money line and over under, but the product's so bad it's hard to watch. There's no Mantle, there's no Mays, there's no Aaron, there's no DiMaggio. So who gives up? There's nobody you want to watch. There's no Gibson and Koufax, Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson. There's none of these guys in there, so who gives a shit? When Shohei Ohtani's the best player, you got problems in the league, okay? And they're making a big deal, oh, he can pitch and hit. Yeah, that's never happened before. Yeah, Babe Ruth couldn't do both. And Earl Wilson, like I said, on the 68 Tigers, hit a home run in the World Series, but there was no DH. Gibson could hit. I don't know if Nolan Ryan could hit, Randy Johnson, but they were played to pitch and they weren't ever hitting. So you can't make stupid comments like these idiots trying to make Ohtani, oh, he's the best player ever played because he can hit a home run and pitch. Yeah, okay, yeah. We've seen Babe Ruth. He can do it. Matter of fact, I just watched the Johnny Manziel documentary yesterday. It was pretty good. Really, I don't know that I would stomach it. He's such an idiot, but the good thing about him is he did go to Vegas, so I like that. I love watching The Gambler. I showed it on here, the Vegas scene with James Caan, and he fucked up. Like, he hits 13 passes in a row at the crap table. Why did he leave? Then he starts hitting the back rack, wins 4 or 5 hands in a row, and he gets up and leaves. Then he doubles down on his 18 and gets to 21 in blackjack. And he says, okay, that's it. We're done. I'm like, well, if that's me and I hit the 18 and get a 3, I ain't going anywhere for an hour. I'm like, okay, now we're hitting. Now we're not. So that's it. I love that movie. I like James Caan in a lot of his movies. Brian's Song was on yesterday. I watched this Liberty Valiance with James Caan and Marsha Mason. I thought it was terrible. I didn't get it at all. I thought it was a good movie from what I was told, and I watched it. I'm like, oh my God, it's only halfway done. This is the stupidest movie I've ever seen. But I do like him in a lot of movies. I thought he was undervalued in The Godfather. He should have had a much bigger part over Al Pacino. I thought he was much better, but they didn't let him shine. It just came out on Netflix like 2 days. Netflix is going down. I watch Tubi now. I barely watch Netflix. I was watching Money Heist over the weekend just so I could see The Professor and take some more notes in Tokyo and Berlin. I mean, so it was good to watch it again. I didn't watch everything because it's 5 seasons. It's 5 parts. So normally I watch part 5, but I hate watching Tokyo die. I don't understand that. Can somebody explain why they killed Tokyo off? Tokyo should have been there at the end. When they get the money out, she should have been there. I don't get any value by killing her. It wasn't that kind of a thing with the series where they killed a lot of people. And then they kill Berlin, and you're like, he's in most of the second heist. It was his plan. You're like, why are you killing these people off? And then they're the best people on the show, and you're killing them off. It's like the Tigers trading Verlander and J.D. Martinez for nothing. So I don't get the point of killing off Tokyo or Berlin. I didn't understand it. If you don't know Money Heist, Tokyo was the main character with the professor who was the mastermind. And you really love Tokyo. And why she died made 0 sense. Made 0 sense. And professor was fine. And you love the ending with the professor outsmarting the colonel. That was just classic. But that was me. He says he went hung over to the NFL Combine, and he and his agent was having him chugging down water to not pop positive on drug. Why would you get hung over to go to the NFL Combine? Why did you go to the NFL Combine? That's like if somebody asked me to take an Excel test. I tell them to fuck off. I've been doing Excel since it was Lotus 1, 2, 3. Or if you ask me to take an accounting or a finance test, I got a master's. Go fuck yourself. Call the school, verify, professor. Yep, he's got a master's, corporate finance, Austrian economics. Don't fucking insult me by making me take a test to see if I can do, add 2 and 2. That's a little degrading and a little bit. I don't think so. So I'm very, very no, I got a master's. You can see it. One guy made me take a picture of the diploma. It's with distinction. I had like a 3.7, this was a very hard, it was an accounting and business school. But as you can see, the way I know economics, I'm not reading anything. I don't need to. I get a question, I answer it. I know it all. So it's a little insulting, but that's the beauty of economics. It teaches you that if you're in demand, which is all I teach you, is free market. So let 3 or 4 people bid for you. Or same with girls. You're a guy, have 3 or 4 girlfriends and see which one's the best one. And if you're a girl, you should have 3 or 4 boyfriends to see who I want to be with. He has good qualities. He has good qualities. He's an ass. She's got good qualities. Who do I feel best with? Fucking compare it. It's like going out to dinner. Fucking go to 5 Chinese restaurants. Say, this is the one I want. But if you don't go, you don't have a clue. So if you don't talk to 4 or 5 different people, you don't have a fucking clue. So that's all from economics. That's all Say's law. It's all Adam Smith observation. I do that a lot. I'll be at the pool and I'm looking at people and, he's making me uncomfortable. I'm just observing. I am not doing anything. I'm just looking at your mannerisms, your reactions. I do that all the time, and it freaks people out because I try to be very aware of people, and just I'm always aware of everything. So that's just me. But that helps when we're doing football or poker or women or anything. You can see exactly what's going on. But yeah, Manziel was an idiot. He had the big games against Alabama. And then he got drunk in Vegas and all that shit. So yeah, I mean, he didn't take it serious, so he got what he deserved. Unlike Joe Burrow, who I guarantee you doesn't come hungover to a football game or anything. How about those dumb compliance simulations a lot of corporate jobs make employees do, like don't harass, company work, etc. A bunch of BS. Yeah, I don't take those serious. I mean, you watch a video and you answer it. Yeah. The best part of this job is I'm home. And I don't have anybody to harass or be harassed by. When I'm at a job in the office, like Mercedes in the beginning, I'd be at my desk and people walk by. How you doing? Some people like you, some don't. You go get coffee or you get a sandwich and you start talking with this and this and this. Somebody hears you. We're here. There's nobody here. I get a Teams call from my boss or from my coworkers, and that's it. And then the rest of the day, I'm doing my job. I just did a very big project, and I did it in like a day, which I'm sure they thought it was going to take me a week. But I'm so clever, I could picture what I needed, and then using high-level Excel, I could just VLOOKUP it and boom, 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 and off I go, and it's done. And I did it in a day. And I'm sure my boss is working, but the girl who trains me, and I'm very confused on this. I think my boss wants me to go through her, but nobody told me. So I think what happens is once in a while I talk to my boss, but normally I'm talking to this girl, and she'll say, "Oh, the boss wants you to do this." And I'm thinking, why doesn't the boss just tell me? Because it's not been made clear that the boss, like, I report to the boss, but she's going over here to this other senior analyst, and then she's talking to me. So nobody's telling me, no, go through here, don't go through the boss. So I'm scratching my head and I go, it's not worth it. I just got a paycheck today. Fine, whatever it is, I'm not going to get all caught up in it. Luke, HR keeping their jobs. Yeah, well, something like that. Professor, what is your new job with Harley? I'm a senior financial analyst for the Powertrain Group. I'm in charge of 65 projects where I keep the budgets, the forecast, next year's budget we're doing now, and then I go into the ledger. So I pull it out of SAP, put it into Excel, put it into each project, and then we're tracking. Well, you said you're going to spend 10 million. Here's your actual spend. Da 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 da, and then I put the POs so you can see that. And I basically talk to the project managers so I can be their finance. So the project manager doesn't want to sit there and deal with his actuals and how he's doing with his forecast. I just give him a spreadsheet. I say, here you go. You've spent this. You've got these POs. What's going to happen? And then we meet once a month, and he says, well, my forecast changed due to delays, due to this, due to that. And then, because eventually it rolls up the hill where the CFO wants to know how we're coming in. So we got a $100 million budget, and we do all the math, and it's going to be 98 million or it's going to be 110 million. And so you got to explain the variances. I don't, the program managers do. So I'm basically the financial person for the program managers. I've done it at Ford, I was for the engineers, and at Mercedes, I was for the IT people. So I'd have 7 or 8 IT managers who don't want to be accountants, and that's where I come in, and it's such an easy job. You just pull it, and then you just talk to them, and they're the ones responsible for the budget. I'm just responsible to keep scoring. And I'm so fast at Excel that what should take 40 hours takes me about 10. So working at home, I turn on all these movies because I'm like, I kind of keep my computer up. So if somebody Teams me, I can answer them. But otherwise, if I don't have a meeting, like tomorrow, it's 8 to noon and off to the gold store. So that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, so at my bank, I was able to get my money. Please be careful at your banks. Now, I wasn't taking that much out, but it was enough. Put it this way, it was enough to buy 10 ounces of gold. So she said you should call first so we could order the money. Now, I'm not being told you can't get the money out. I've heard that like Bank of America. I'm at Fifth Third. So depending on your bank, I would start asking questions real soon. How do I get my money out? Are you bailing in me where I can't get the money? Maybe I can get the money, but I can't get the cash out. I've heard that before, where you go to the bank and you got 30 grand. They won't give it to you, but it's still in your account. Please be careful. There's about 8 or 9 banks about to crash, probably Labor Day. And the panic's going to start. And don't rely on the government to help you because they're useless, as we can see. So the only person that is going to help you is you by buying gold and silver. Because then you got it. So I'm sitting there. I got all this gold and silver in my safe. I got my money in my safe. I'm fine. I can't get fucked where I can't get my money out. If we switch to the new currency, I go wherever. I go to the bank or the gold store and I go, okay, I still have, because you'll have some time to switch it. And then you put more gold in your safe and then you don't have to fucking worry about the bank fucking you over. I got 100 grand in there. Can't get it. Too bad. We can give you 20, but you ain't getting your 100. And if you don't think that's going to happen, just look what happened to Canada. Look what happened to Greece. Look what happened to China. I mean, it's all over the place. They're reneging because they're going fucking broke because they're all Keynesians. They're a bunch of fucking idiots. And none of them understand that if you keep printing, it's worthless. I haven't done my Titanic yet. It's worthless if you keep printing. And therefore, they want to pay off the debt, they print. But they don't realize when you print another 10, you print another trillion, it's only worth 700 billion. It's not worth a trillion. You've devalued the currency again and again and again until now you got to print 5 trillion to get a trillion out because it's not worth anything. So they think they'll just keep printing. We know that doesn't work. And that's why most of the world in 2 weeks is going to Brics, and they're all going to vote for the gold standard. They're not even voting for it. It's just, this is what we're doing. And everybody is getting off the Titanic to go to the gold ship. They're all doing it. There's 80 some countries now. And all I can say is just, please don't be stupid. Don't bury your head in the sand. Don't think, well, it can't happen here. We're America. That's the problem. Americans see that, well, we had this crash in 2008. It was nothing like this. You didn't have the inflation. Oh, you probably did, but they buried it. All you had was the housing problem where people were defaulting on it. And then the Wall Street companies were selling these real estate investment trusts, REITs, and the assault on Wall Street guy was buying with the 60,000 and then they were going worthless. That's a whole different animal than what's happening now. This did not sink. In 2008, this didn't sink. This sunk. This hit the iceberg. The water's coming in and they're pretending the boat's fine. And that's the whole difference, is that is gone, as is all the other fiat currencies. So why do you think the central banks are buying gold? Why do you think Brics is coming out with the gold standard? Because they have to, because it's all collapsed. Only they don't want to say it. Oh, we don't want panic or whatever the fuck, Okay, so we won't panic. We'll calmly go buy gold and silver and stack our safes with it. And then when the shit hits the fan, too bad. Well, sorry. We tried to tell you, but didn't work. Bobby, what you plan on stacking up tomorrow when you hit the coin store? I'd like to get at least 2 ounces of gold. I don't really, at this point, I'm going after gold over silver. I got so much silver, and gold's going to go so high. And like I said, gold, the difference is gold is non-destructible, right? Where silver wears out, but I don't think it's indestructible. In other words, you can melt gold, but you can't destroy gold. There's no way you can destroy it, and it never runs out. Silver, you can wear it out. I don't really know what happens to it, but I don't think you can melt. I think even if you melt silver, because that's what they do. You see these big bars, and then next thing you know, they use the bandsaw and they take them and then they make coins out of them. So I think you can melt silver. I think that's real money too, but I've got so much. And then I'm thinking about it going, if I need to go to Switzerland and see Egon, I can pull 10 ounces out of my pocket that nobody even knows I have in there. And, that's a lot of wealth I can walk in and out of versus, like Luke's big box of silver coins. I mean, that's going to be noticeable. Although I'm sure you can do it. But, you can carry gold a lot easier. So I think Right now, I'm prone to more gold. I've hit my goal, 50 ounces, but now I'm really close to probably being able to buy 5 more ounces. But again, I'm going to buy 2 or 3 at a time and play it by ear. But I think, between the credit card and getting my paychecks, and I got to kill my Social Security, and then the credit card and the trips, and I got the girls, and I don't know what's going on. Jenna's going to Berlin. I got to book a plane, and I don't even know when to do it because she's worried about getting over the border into Poland, and she'll leave from Warsaw. It's a $250 flight, so I don't give a shit, but I don't know when to make it. She's supposedly leaving tomorrow. She's getting a ride from some guy. I don't know how long. It's probably 20-hour ride and then going over the border. So I just said, let me know when you get over once you're past the checkpoint at the border, then give me the time, and then I can book a flight for her there. And so there's just a lot of unknown that I'm waiting to figure out what I need. Then I'll start getting football money in. So yeah, well, I'm in great shape. And then I'm moving over like 10, 12,000 into a 0%. I'll do that in the next month. So that'll help me also. So definitely a couple ounces of gold tomorrow, and maybe a couple more next week. Before Brics, I'll probably get another 5 ounces. Luke, so much speculation on the Brics meeting. Who knows? I hope you're right. Does Jim Rickards know? I don't use that word around here. I don't use Jim Rickards. I don't use any of those morons. Peter Schiff. You say Peter Schiff, just don't even go there. He's a fucking idiot. Rickards is a Keynesian. I don't like him. I don't trust him. He's a government guy, so I don't like him at all. Who knows? I'll guarantee you they go to a gold-backed system. How's that? So you can take it from the professor. You have to understand the concept. These 80-odd countries want to get out of the U.S. dollar. There is no other currency to go in. They're not going into rubles or yuan. So the only way you can have 80 countries trust you is to have a new currency backed by gold. And there's no other. You're not going into euros or Swiss francs from this. Okay? So the only way you can get out of this, the only thing this can't compete with is gold. And the U.S. has been bullying all these countries, and all these countries are sick of it. You got 80 countries who want to go to gold. I'll leave it at that. I guarantee there'll be a gold standard. I can't guarantee you when it starts, relatively soon. I'd say by the end of the year, but the announcement of it should get the gold price going up. It should scare COMEX out of their minds so they stop with the price fixing. But it's a certainty. I'm not speculating at all. I do know. So that's for sure. Again, don't bring up Jim Rickards here, please, or Peter Schiff, or any of those Jim Maloney. Don't bring up those losers. You can bring up Alligator or Egon. Alligator guarantees it. Egon guarantees it. So absolutely. Luke has 2 boxes of silver, I believe. They're the big boxes. You bought another 4 ounce of gold. Yeah, you were saying. That's good, Luke. 500-ounce monster box of silver. Now 2,600 total American Eagles of silver. Well, that's a shitload. Yeah, what do you got, Bobby? 100? So what you got to understand is what you're going to do, Luke, when gold goes way up and silver finally goes 10-1, you're going to take like 100 ounces of silver and buy for every 10, you're going to buy an ounce of gold. So you'll be able to buy 10 ounces of gold with your 100 ounces of silver. That's fundamental, one of the benefits of buying silver at these prices and then letting it run up to 10-1. Again, they still don't get it. They say, well, silver's a little bit more, what's the word? Silver's a little bit more fluctual, whatever the word is. And it's price fixed. I don't know why these guys struggle with price fixed. They don't understand derivative and paper gold and silver and price fixing. I don't get it. It's the market running gold and silver. It's the government running it. It's the free market running the baseball cards and the Canadian Club and everything else. So I don't really understand why it's so difficult for anybody to understand that gold and silver's never had a real price. It's always been price fixed from JP Morgan. Even the 1915 that it's at now is price fixed. It's not the real physical, it's not the real free market price. So once that goes to free market, you'll never see 25 again, but it will go to 10-1. So if gold goes to 50 grand, silver will be 5 grand. When they both get off the dollar, 10 ounces of silver will buy you what 1 ounce of gold will buy you. It'll buy you the house, right? The Bobby Bo house, or the Tom Brady house will be using 2 ounces of gold for, or 20 ounces of silver for. That's where it will go to. It won't be priced in dollars anymore. Nothing will, because there won't be a dollar to price it in. That's not my opinion. That's what's going to happen, Luke. So I want you to understand me. Okay, we know he's your favorite player. See, I don't know if you believe me. So we're sitting in the airport in Barcelona, and I'm leaving a message, and Luke overhears me, and I say, well, do you know Bobby Bo? Because he's from Philadelphia. And I says, do you know Bobby Bo? He's in my class. And I don't know if Luke believed me or not. But he doesn't get it. I don't lie. So if I'm saying Bobby Bo's in my class, but again, he's kind of questioning, like, is the Brics meeting, and do I know? Like, he's not fully understanding me. So Luke, just keep an open mind, and you'll start seeing. Go back to my Super Bowl pick when I had Kansas City to beat Philly. Then you'll understand. PGH and live here. You're from Pittsburgh and live in Philly, right? Okay. I get that. I know you live in Philly because we got off the airplane, but that's okay. But you got to keep your mind open with me. I don't lie, and I don't guess. I only tell what I know, and it's not opinion. None of this is my opinion, what I think's going to happen. It's what's going to happen. And that's why I try to back it up. This hit the Titanic is not a guess. This is what fucking's happened, right? That's why you don't see a full dollar here. This has hit the iceberg. The water's coming in the boat. Your only option is to buy gold and silver. That's not an opinion. That's exactly what's happened. Because I know if you keep printing money, you're going to cause inflation, which is overproduction, inflating the money supply, and it devalues the dollar. As I showed you in the baseball cards, the Barry Sanders Pro Set's only worth $140, but the Montana rookie card's worth $100,000 because there's only a few good condition Montana rookie cards, and you can see there's a ton of good condition Barry Sanders cards. That's the difference in the price. This is Barry Sanders. There's so much Pro Set sitting there, and the more they print, the less it's worth. So that's what I try to explain my mind so you understand that it's not an opinion. I mean, I'm telling you what is going to happen. I am just, between being an INFJ, which is a special kind of what do you call me? I'm a special kind of personality, and also with my background, and that I bet football, everything kind of comes into play in the way I think. But when you print, that is what will happen. This will go to zero, and that's what I bring in. Egon and Alligator and all these guys to say, look, yes, they're agreeing with me, or oh, you live in Pittsburgh, okay. Anyway, it's not important. We were on a trip to Philly. I ended up in Detroit. You ended up in Pittsburgh. That's fine. No, not a problem. Don't worry about it. Not important. What's important is buy gold and silver. So anyway, I was going to share you this little video. Just a minute of it.
Ukraine more and more is ramping up their attacks within Russia, specifically targeting Moscow. What do you think is the real point of this? Is it to cause terror among the citizens? Is it to try to weaken support for Putin? Or what do you think the drone attacks into Russia are really about?
I would regard what Ukrainians are doing at this point, and I really should say the Zelensky regime, what it is doing, is committing acts of desperation. And they're in terrible condition right now. I received some interesting overhead imagery that was sent to me about Ukraine, and it was very interesting because the overhead imagery depicted 123,000 freshly dug graves in Ukraine for Ukrainian soldiers, and talked about 400,000 dead Ukrainian soldiers. This was kind of...
Oh, Russia's got a big lead, but there's one thing I wanted to share. God, I hate YouTube with these ads.
With Russia. Remember, Russia is this evil state that has a national identity rooted in its culture, its history, its ethnicity, its language. And that's bad, Steve. That's very bad. We globalists and neocons have had tremendous success in Western Europe and in the United States with regard to destroying national identity, in opening borders, in crushing anyone who suggests that human beings have an identity at all, in favor of insisting that all of it is a social construct of no meaning. If we lose to Russia, well, then we're exposed to criticism as frauds, as failures. And things could actually turn around in Europe. National parties could actually come to power. Our position here could be untenable.
He's talking about like Bill Gates and those idiots.
Like Donald Trump and RFK Jr., who seem to think there's a place called America and an American national identity and history and culture. So, there's more going on here than we realize. And then finally, there's another level of this conflict that no one is paying attention to, I think, in
Except
the
for
United
us.
States. When I say no one, most Americans. That's the financial war. And the financial war boils down to this. Russia, China, India, they want to de-dollarize. They want to get out from under our financial system. And we thought that once we sanctioned everybody opposed to us, that they couldn't do business. They wouldn't be able to export anything or import anything. Well, we've turned out to be completely wrong. In fact, once you leave Europe and North America, the rest of the world is quite willing to do business. And so now the Russians have decided, along with the Chinese, and I think the Indians privately have said, we've got to go to gold-backed currency, a new currency, to get out from under the United States. Well, we sort of scoff at that. Remember Bernanke, the former Fed chairman? He testified and said, well, gold doesn't have any real value. And somebody said, well, then why do all the banks maintain it? He said, well, it's a tradition. Well, we all know that's not true. We don't know how far this is going to go. We don't know how rapidly this will progress. But if you're entirely dependent upon this fiat currency, which you can print as much of as you will, this is pretty frightening stuff. And we haven't seen the economic collapse that we anticipated and forecasted in Europe, in Eastern Europe and Asia. It's not going to happen.
Saudi Arabia.
How does that make you feel, Luke? He's not even an economist. He's a colonel. He's a retired colonel, McGregor. He's pretty good about this Ukrainian war, that Russians are killing them, and they don't want to kill the Ukraine citizen. They don't want to kill Jenna because they're going to absorb her, and they'll just make the Ukraine part of Russia again. But as you can see, all these countries want to get the fuck out of the dollar. So they only have one option. So what I teach is the free market and substitute goods and competition. So if you don't want Canadian Club, you can buy Crown Royal or Dewar's, right? So you can compete. And then, so I don't buy the Canadian Club. This gets too expensive and Dewar's is $10 cheap. I'll buy Dewar's. I don't care. Because I have competition. You don't have competition for this. You can't go to the British pound or the Swiss franc. Your only way out is the gold-backed currency. So when I say that, that's the competition. Now I introduce this guy to you and I say, look, all these countries want to get out. Now, I don't know that as well as he does, but I do understand the competition part. If you want to get out of the dollar, your only way out is gold. There is no other currency you're going to have because it's all fiat. It's all printed to death. It's all worthless. That much I know. You can't just keep printing. It's like the ProSet card, Barry Sanders. If you keep printing it, it's not going to be worth anything. So I understand that. However, the score, Barry Sanders, is worth $2,000 because they didn't print it to death. They printed it, but not terribly. But again, the centering was good. So there's a lot of 10s. Where the Montana and the Rice, it was hard to get nicely centered and get a 10. Therefore, those are worth $100,000. So as you've printed this to zero, every country's done it because they're all fixed, they're all corrupt, that the guy with the printing press just keeps printing it. And then he feeds it to the government and to the stock market and whatever. They put it in their pocket and they keep printing and printing and printing there's no consequence. There's consequence to the people because they all got to pay $20 for a can of tuna, but the elites are printing all the money and keeping it. And they're doing the same thing here. So your only way out is gold and silver. So that part is a very fundamental equation for our class, right? It's not even a question of maybe it'll happen or that, or what was your question? Jim Rickards. Does Jim Rickards know? Who cares? And what does Alligator say? Alligator says what this guy says. And there's really not speculation on the Brics meeting. We all know they're going to come out with the gold-backed dollar. That's the point of the meeting. The point of the meeting is to get all these countries together with the gold-backed currency to get out of the U.S. That's the point of the meeting. So there's no speculation. It's exactly what it is. The speculation is how quickly will they go to a gold-backed currency? I think very quickly because it's already been done by the Russian guy and it's according to Alligator. And that's the kind of stuff I'm not fully up on, but that's why I listen to Alligator. So I know what they're doing. What's crazy, hearing your gold talk on the phone. Yeah, but was it wrong, right? Bobby, my great uncle Leo Karras delivered one of your kids at Maggie Women's Hospital. No, what a small world. Professor, I'm concerned that buying all that silver would be a better investment in some more gold. You're saying to buy more silver? Or you're concerned that buying all that silver would be a better investment in some more? Well, you're fine either way. Understand this. Silver's so cheap that you can't really go wrong with it. You're going to turn your $27 an ounce silver into $2,000 soon. Not all at once, but it'll go to 200-300, and it'll go to, once it starts going, hits 1,000, and then it gets 10-1 to gold, especially with this gold talk by there, where the $2,000 an ounce gold goes up to 30,000-40,000 an ounce. So you're okay either way. But what I'm saying is, if I go to Switzerland and sell it, or somewhere in Europe, or someplace, I can put 5 in my pocket, and I can put quarter ounces and half ounces and an ounce, and then just cash it in very easily or very comfortably, walking around with 5 ounces of gold. Nobody knows I have. So if you do it with silver, it's just not worth as much, but you can certainly do that. But it's fine as long as the key is you're out of the boat. This is sinking, right? So the first key is to get out of the boat, which is what you've done with your gold and silver. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to buy another 2 ounces. Really, I'm getting rid of this. So what you're doing is you're getting rid of this. And there's only 2 places to go: gold or silver. Not real estate, not stocks, not bonds, not real estate trusts, not putting your money in the bank. All that is no. So does it really matter, gold or silver? I don't think so. I think they're both money. And like I said, you can take roughly 10, maybe 12, 13 ounces of silver to buy an ounce of gold. Because at $50,000 an ounce, you're not going to have $50,000. Maybe you can buy 1 ounce, but how many ounces are you going to buy? But with silver, you take 10, you buy the ounce of gold with what you got in your silver, you exchange it. So they'll take it because they'll sell the silver, because there's going to be a long line at the gold store to buy, because once people realize what's happening and they've been made off, and once they understand they've been made off, what are they going to do? They're going to run to that coin store and buy the gold and silver at any price. Now, they won't be able to afford the $50,000 ounce, so they'll buy a quarter ounce, which will be $15,000, or a tenth of an ounce for $5,000. Or they'll buy silver at $2,000 an ounce, which is probably more likely is what they'll buy until it goes up to 10-1 for the gold. But it's being manipulated. It's the JP Morgan price, not the free market price. So what we're waiting for is the free market price. And Brics is going to get us to the free market price. That's what I'm saying. There's no question there's no question all these countries want to get out of the US dollar. Now, before, if Saddam Hussein wanted to get onto a gold standard, or Gaddafi, they would go to war with them and blow them up. Well, with this war with Russia, we don't have any material. We've sent them all the Stingers, and it's funny is they're all ending up in Mexico, but it's just bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit. And with all that's going on, the U.S. doesn't have a military anymore. It's all this transgender bullshit, and it's a very weak military, and it's very much, we're not beating Russia. We're getting our ass kicked. So we promised Zelensky we'll send you stuff, and now what? Well, I guess Zelensky fucked up. It's not our problem. So we can't beat the Russians. So therefore, we can't really block the gold standard coming. We've tried, like I said, we did with Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein. We blew them up, right? Because they wanted to have a gold standard. And so that's what you're talking about. Are we going to be able to do that like we did to those two? The difference is you got Russia and you got China and India and Saudi Arabia, and you're going to have to blow up the whole world, which you're not going to do. So that's the problem. I mean, unless they do that, then it won't really matter. But I don't think that's what the intention is. Although this Biden guy is such a strange guy that who knows. But you got a lot of really strange people running this country. A bunch of idiots. So you got to be careful, but I don't think they want the money. That's why the war is going on, so they can keep selling arms to Ukraine and Mexico and whoever else wants to buy them. So we don't really have a lot of arms to do it, but we're not going to go to war because they're on the gold standard. And that's probably what you're thinking. Probably why there hasn't been a gold standard earlier is because of any time they tried to do it. But Zimbabwe's on a gold standard now. They are selling gold coins and their inflation's gone down. So we let Zimbabwe do it. We're not going to stop China and Russia. And that's the whole point. And they can nuke us. So we're not going to fuck around with them. So that's the key is the right people want to come out with the gold standard because they don't want US dollars. Ruble can't be used. When I send Daria money, I send it to her sister in Maryland who has a Russian bank account and a US bank account. And I give her dollars and then she converts it and gives Daria the rubles. So if I went to Russia tomorrow, I couldn't even give Daria, I could go with my $100. I couldn't even give it. She wouldn't be able to spend it. You cannot convert US money in Russia. So the only thing I could give her is gold and silver. And I don't even know if she could use it because it would be US gold or Krugerrands or something. Maybe she'd be able to cash that in. Probably gold they would take. But that's basically where you're at. So keep that in mind. This is not I'm not a professor at Harvard and Yale where they're all Keynesians and they're all coming out with theories. I don't do theories. I do reality. I do what's actually going to happen, or I don't talk about it. If I didn't hear this guy say they all want to get out, and I didn't hear Alligator and Egon say it, I would say that they're inflating this to zero and they'll have to come out with the gold standard and all the banks are blowing up. So the US will have to come out with the gold because they're blowing up the dollar. So I'm smart enough to understand they're blowing the dollar up by printing, which leads you to gold. That's the only thing it leads you to. So I know it's coming one way or the other, but the Brics will definitely help us. But we're getting gold no matter what. It's way underpriced and it's going to blow up. And all these regulations are they can't just do derivatives without having gold to back it up. So it's coming very, very soon. So just relax and enjoy the show. I mean, it's like we're waiting for the movie to start, but we know it's starting. So if Luke, you're saying buying all the silver would be a better investment than some more gold, you can't lose either way. I'm not gonna. If you prefer the silver, but you've got so much of it, then how do you, where are you storing your silver, Luke? You got a safe at the house, or you're in a box? Like on Pawn Stars or whatever, or these garbage things. But that's I can fit a lot of gold in my safe. But either way, you're fine. As long as you're out of dollars, as long as you're out of this, as long as you've jumped off the Titanic and you're in another boat, you're fine. So it doesn't matter if it's a gold boat or a silver boat. You're good. All right, back to a little college football. We left off with Florida International, Louisiana Tech. Florida International was a Z team last year. They sucked. L-Tech has the Boise quarterback, I believe. I got Boise written there, so it must be his. Yeah, Backenmeyer. So he sucked at Boise. We'll see how he is at L-Tech. But Florida International sucks. I don't know. It's hard to go over with the Z team, so it's probably L-Tech. But you got to wait and see how they do with the Boise. That's a wait and see one. 8:31, we got Kent State, UCF. UCF laying 35, over under 62. We had a new quarterback for Kent State and a new coach, Burns and Plumlee, who was at Ole Miss, who ran a lot. is the UCF quarterback. So let's see how they are. NC State 16 against UConn. NC State, the quarterback, went to a different. I think he's at Kentucky now. UConn is getting a little bit better. Both teams have new quarterbacks. NC State's got the killer defense. Look for this game to be lower scoring. You're welcome, Luke. Anytime. I just want you to understand. I mean, I'm teaching economics class and gold and football and everything else, but I come across. I'm trying to help, so that's my main focus is to teach. But like, if I don't like a guy like Jim Rickards or Peter Schiff, I don't really want them brought in here because they don't add any value to the class. Now Alligator does, and we'll listen to Mark McGuire. He does this Friday, and then Egon. He hasn't been on for a week. So those guys, or no, I did catch Egon on something. Those guys, yeah, they add value, and that's why I run the video to show you this is what Egon said or Alligator, and you can go from there. And then you go, oh, okay, that's what they're saying. This is what the professor's saying. So I get it. Because I know you guys don't learn this stuff. This is not like accounting. It's a debit and a credit or banking or anything like that. Austrian economics is not taught since probably the mid-90s when I got it. I graduated in 95. I don't know that my school even teaches it where I went to Walsh even teaches it anymore. So it becomes messed up where they're calling Austrian economics is no good. There's new Keynesian. That's still communism. MMT, communist. And, so I don't even know. They're making up names of economics that don't even exist. It's either free market or government control. That's it. There's two types of economics. Government cannot do economics because they don't know what you want. As I said, if I want to go buy golf clubs, then I want 10 brands to choose from. How does the government know what I want? Depends on the price, depends, what I want to do with it, what looks pretty. I like the blue one over the red one. I mean, government can't possibly do it. The only way it can be done is by me choosing, and then my choice sends signals to the manufacturers. Well, professor likes blue clubs. Let's make more blue clubs. I mean, that's the signals that we send out by buying something or by not buying. These electric cars, there's no demand for it. Nobody's buying them. They're lowering the prices. At what point does Musk or whatever his name is stop making the cars because he can't sell them? At some point, he's going to keep lowering the price. Soon they'll be $5, I guess. He lowers them again. They're $15,000. Well, guess what, buddy? You're not selling them because nobody wants it. And the interest rates for a regular car is costing about $900 a month for a product that nobody wants. So if you got a regular Mercedes or Camry, let's say you got a Camry, it's $900 a month. Who can afford it? So not only your price is way too high, but then you're going to electric cars where there's no demand for it. So that's what I teach. Very basically is that there's substitutable goods. There's very few monopolies. We don't want monopolies. We want competition where you can choose 5 different Chinese restaurants or 5 different barbecue restaurants or Morton's or Shula's or Ditka's or Butkus's, whatever steakhouses. You're free to choose. That's Austrian economics in a nutshell. I need a house. Hopefully this happy soon. Andy Raphael. Hi, Andy. You making us a ton of money this season? No, I will certainly try. We have the theories down and we have the results from last year. So absolutely. I don't see now we need, like the first week we're sticking with probably Notre Dame, New Mexico State, the Army. Then we'll get into the new, like we found Kansas and Washington State last year. So we'll see what happens the first few weeks to pick up who we pick. That's why I win every year because I'm open-minded to see what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for Kansas, who scores 50 points a game and gives up 50, to bet them over. That's what I'm looking for. Kansas over. Who's Kansas going to be this year, right? So you're looking for that, but I know what I'm looking for. And then you just adjust. Well, last year we played Kansas over. 2 years ago we played Georgia under. I never played Georgia under before. We locked them every week. We won every fucking week with Georgia under. So that's what you're looking for. So that's why you got to be open-minded to say, is it LSU this year, which Bobby would be happy? Michigan, I don't know. The running back's not back. He hurt his knee I think in the Illinois game. Then you've got, how's UCLA's quarterback going to be? Utah, we know they're good. USC, explosive. So we go down. How's TCU going to be? It's a misnomer. Their starting quarterback got hurt last year. Duggan came in and won all those games. The starting quarterback is healthy, is now the starting quarterback this year. TCU shouldn't fall off at all. They got defensive players, and how hard was it to get a receiver and a running back that you never heard of last year? So they already replaced them through the portal. TCU is going to be just as good with the quarterback, with the coach, as will Tennessee. So that's what you're looking for. Army's gone to this new offensive coordinator. They're going to be throwing the ball. I look for them to be very strong this year. They got a great coach, which is also what you're looking for. So, yeah, Andy, we're looking forward to it. If you want to make side bets where I give you the teaser and then I get 20%, we can do that. I do that with several of the customers where I'll give you the teaser. For example, let's play Notre Dame and New Mexico State for $300, and it wins. And then you give me 60 of the 300. You keep the 240. I gave you the pick, and I give you the amount. So I do that with several people versus you buying the week. I get a lot of people who buy the week. Usually you buy the month or the year. The year is so cheap this year. I think I'll get swamped with that. But and it's cute. I made it $5.99 for the whole pro and $5.99 for the whole college, because $600 they $10.99 me. So I'll do $5.99. So I am smarter than the average bear that way. But yeah, Andy, looking forward to that. Luke, you're going to be buying the house with the gold. Maybe the silver, but you'll have to carry 20 ounces of silver to buy the house. There's something about the gold that here's 2 ounces of gold just sounds better for a house than a bunch of silver. Just keep in mind, don't get caught up on the timing. They're going to announce it in the meeting. All these countries want to get out of the dollar. So it's clear what's going to happen. Does it take a year? If it does, it's just a better buying opportunity for us. I'm hoping by not necessarily at the meeting, although that might start raising the price. The question is when do they blow up the price fixing? And is Russia, China going to come out with their own price at this is what we need for the dollar to be, for our gold-backed currency to be successful? We might need 20,000 an ounce. And you just blew up COMEX. COMEX cannot succeed. It's going to be blown up soon. Is it a month? Is it 6 months? Don't know. But we know at the end of the day, it's going to happen. It's like watching the Super Bowl. We knew KC was going to win. They get behind, and then they start coming up, and then they take the lead, and they win the game. Well, so if you're watching it, you're seeing the first quarter, and Philly's up, and you're like, I thought KC was going to win. And then eventually you start catching on, and then KC wins the game. And it's the same thing here. You're but instead of 4 quarters, 60 minutes, it's maybe 4 months. And at the end of the day, the gold and silver go way up. But you just don't know, when do we get rid of COMEX? And that's the blocker. And we all know it, so I think that's what's going to happen. All right, last couple of games. Florida, Utah, I believe that's down to 7. Utah in a revenge game in the mountains. Florida with a new quarterback, Graham Mertz from Wisconsin. This guy stinks. Rising is healthy. He's practicing. Utah with the better offense, the better defense, the better quarterback, the better coach, and a revenge game. So I really like Utah here, as I've stated. And the last 8:31 game, Nebraska, Minnesota, mini 7.5. New quarterback for both. New coach. Nebraska's got Rule, who was okay at Temple. I don't know what happened to him at Carolina. I think he's more of an under coach. I think this is a strong under game. Over under, I don't know. It's 46.5. I don't know what it is today. Maybe it's 45.5. Love the game under. Mini with a very strong defense and no new quarter. They got a new quarterback. Nebraska's got a new quarterback and a new coach, and I think they're going to play defense. So I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game. And then, that's the first week, and then we get into 9-1. We'll do Miami, Miami Canes minus 17, 51. You got Gabbard Jr. for Miami of Ohio, and of course Van Dyke, and they're doing a new air raid offense. I think Miami comes out on fire. Miami of Ohio won't be able to do much, and they have a decent defense, but not against Van Dyke. In the MAC, they have a decent defense, not against Miami of Florida. And they did pretty bad last year. I look for them to come out on fire. So I like Miami of Florida and Van Dyke. You got to bet the stud quarterbacks. That's really the key to it. So that's kind of week 1 of college football. Again, when these guys transfer portal, I don't know what it means. I mean, they're not very good because they're transferring. Most of them are babies because they couldn't make it on their team. They were second or third string. They're crying, and they leave, and they go to another team. They're not very good, but they hope, well, maybe nobody's on this team. I can start, and then I can show how bad I am. So if you got superstars, they're not transferring. The one kid did from, I think it was Pitt or North Carolina or somewhere, went to USC. He was a very good wide receiver, although I never heard of him. I think it was from Pittsburgh, and he transferred to USC with the quarterback and the coach. That was the only really good player to do it. Penix was terrible at Indiana, so he wasn't really that good. Bo Nix was terrible at Auburn. UCLA kept them rising. He didn't transfer anywhere. So it's good when Utah gets a wide receiver from Missouri who's pretty good and he wants to go to Utah. Then it's okay. It's the guys who leave these schools and they're really not that good, and they go to the new school, and the new school, so they suck at the new school just like they sucked at the old school. So very few are really going to make impacts, but we'll keep an eye on them. But keep your eye on the quarterbacks, keep an eye on the defense and who they play. So if Navy were to blow out Notre Dame, then we'd be okay. And they were able to stop Hartman, but that ain't going to happen. But we're looking at if Central Michigan beats Notre Dame versus beating Michigan State versus beating Ball State. So it's who they beat really tells you the strength of the team. That's where we got Kansas from last year. Kansas put up a 50 on somebody in week 1, and then they played Duke and killed them. All of a sudden, they're putting up 40, 50 points a game, and it started being against pretty decent teams. Oklahoma, they put up a 30 on. Baylor, I think they put up a 30 or 40 on. So they were the only team they didn't was my Iowa State team because of their defense. So that's what you're looking at we're looking at the box scores, the 9-1, 9-2, we're looking at the box scores. We're seeing how explosive was the team as thought. Does Hawaii put up 50 on Vanderbilt? Oh, no, that's a big deal. We expect USC to blow out or to score a ton on San Jose State, but UCF, Kent State. Now, if Kent State puts up 45, okay, they're going to be an over. That's what you're looking for, and I'm expecting Utah to beat Florida in the revenge game with Rising over Mertz. Florida, I don't think will be too good this year, but Utah. They can easily win the Pac-10 with, or whatever the hell they're called now, with Rising. They beat USC twice last year, got no credit. They had trouble with Oregon and Washington. I think they lost to Oregon. But they're just very explosive, and they have the best defense in the Pac-10, them and Oregon State, Washington State. But Washington State might be a little weaker. So really that's what we're looking at. And it was interesting. I found Washington State under playing Idaho. It's apparently a revenge game in that part of the country. And Washington State just killed them. They just blew them up. Idaho couldn't get a first down. And they supposedly had a pretty good offense. And Washington State just blew apart the line. And so I started noticing that. And then they held USC to 29. USC's putting up 50. They play Washington State's 29-16 under. And then I'm going, okay. So that's really what we're looking for is team personality. But with all these transfers and coaching changes, we got to say Army should be a much more explosive passing team with this new air raid offensive coordinator. We'll see. First week against Lou Monroe, they should kill them. They're laying 7. They should easily laying 1. I think they'll kill them. The coach looked really good, the offensive coordinator. Just the way he looked confident and smart. And he's been Division II, and they've been putting up 50 points a game with him there. So now at Army, I expect them to score more. But that's what you're looking for. So you're looking for the odd scores, the high scores, or the shutouts in the first week or two and against who they play. And from there, we'll start figuring out the new over-unders. So in the beginning, we go with Rising and we go with USC and we go with the known commodity. We don't fuck around guessing on Central Michigan, Michigan State. We go to the bread and butter. We go to Army. We go to Michigan over East Carr, the Iowa under, TCU over Colorado. We go to where the bread's butter, where we know Washington, Oregon, they haven't changed. The quarterback's still there. We know Rising at Utah. So it's not like, they got a new quarterback. Who is it? Like Florida's got a new quarterback from Wisconsin. He's not any good. At least he wasn't at Wisconsin. I'm not worried about him lighting up Utah. Not the way they play UCLA and USC and Oregon and Washington. I'm not worried about Florida coming there. Anyway, so that's what we have. So we'll keep our eyes open, and that's really what you learn. So again, buy your gold and silver because you're getting out of the dollar because the Titanic is sinking. The water's about 3/4 of the way in the boat right now, and the Brics conference is going to bury the boat. Now we'll see how they say it. They'll be political. We're coming out with the new currency backed by commodities. They might not say gold. That's what they mean. As far as I know, Russia wants this. You're fucking around with Russia and you're sanctioning them. They don't want that. They don't like it. They're not going to just sit there and take it. And China doesn't want. They want to do business with the U.S., but they want to do it in gold. They don't want to do it in U.S. currency because they know it's worthless. I mean, they're not that stupid. They know it's being printed to zero. Why would I want it? I don't want dollars. When I get my paycheck, it's I get paid today. I got paid. Tomorrow I'm off to the gold store. I put a little bit in the safe, and the rest I go buy gold and silver with. I don't want dollars. That's why when I got my 401k or IRA and I pulled it out of E-Trade and I put it into the bank, I ran to the bank and pulled the money out. I know it's worthless. I'm just proactive, right? I can see everything. I can think ahead. So I am seeing what's going to happen and I'm reacting now. Most people react after the fact. Most people will go, oh, I didn't know the dollar was collapsing. Well, they don't know what to look for. I know what to look for. So that's the difference. I'm telling you things ahead of time and you're still scratching your head. Are we sure? And then, you know, yes, based on what I'm seeing, who I'm listening to, and what I know that I've learned, the boat's on the bottom of the Atlantic. It's just getting there. And that's what I know. So I am being proactive, asking you to just go along with it, and then asking you to question like you guys do. Are you sure, or you're going to be wrong, or when's this? The biggest one is when's it going to happen, which it's a question that really can't be answered because there's no schedule. There's not. I can tell you on 8/26 Navy plays Notre Dame. I cannot tell you the day that the dollar goes down and gold and silver go up. The dollar might not even go down for a while, but gold and silver can still go up. They're being price fixed. Once the price fixing ends, as all these countries go to Brics, about 80 of them. So that should be your clear thought. 80 countries are off the dollar going to Brics. Nobody wants the fucking dollar. It has no value except for here and maybe in Canada. Canada's collapsing. Our Canadian friend's getting the shit beat out of him. His wife's pissed off probably because he put 400 grand into the house instead of into gold. So again, trying to do things the hard way instead of just putting your money into gold, just sitting back and waiting for it to go through the roof. You want to fuck around with a house? Okay, good luck. Good luck to you. You'll never get your 700 grand back. So. But anyway, that's all I can do is tell you. And then if you don't want to listen, that's up to you. All right. I think that's about it. Anything else? So we got Brics, we got gold, little football. We'll do the NFL this weekend. What else? Russia is definitely going to win the war. What the whole war is about is the U.S. wanting to steal all the oil, gold, and diamonds and gas from Russia. So the whole idea was we'll blow up Russia. The Zuckerberg, Gates idiots who are like trying to control the world. We'll call them pinky in the brain for lack of a better term. They want to take over the world. But Russia's not following along like half of Europe and the U.S. is. So the U.S., we're letting all these people in the borders. What they're missing is they're going to turn into Americans because they want the laws and the money and everything else. So they're not going to come in as Mexican. They're going to change to American because that's where the money's at. Because we have so many aliens from here anyway. I have a bunch of Indian neighbors, and they're getting Americanized, not Indian. Anyway, I do my best to Americanize them, but that's really what this war is about: is to change Russia into a non-religion, but they're not. They're strict Catholic. They're Orthodox Catholic. They don't want to change. And all the Bill Gates guys are crying and the George Soros, and they can't get Putin out, so they can't have an election to put their guy in, so they're fucked. And now Russia's saying we don't want it, and the U.S. won't end the war because we want to take them out so we can get the oil, the diamonds, and the gold, and they're saying fuck you. And they're a lot stronger than the Zuckerbergs and the Gates and the Mileys and all these morons in the government think. So that's really the problem. So it's really the U.S. against Russia. The U.S. is favored. Russia's a strong dog, especially at home. Russia's winning 42-0. They're going to win. They can't lose. They're just too powerful. And China sees that. They're backing them. They want to get on Brics. So that's all that's happening. So the stupid war, which they keep making money by selling arms and stealing all the money. We're going to $20 billion to the Ukraine, and it never leaves the government. It's so funny. $20 billion to Ukraine. Okay, guys, let's split it up. All right, generals here, Congress here, senators, and nothing leaves the U.S. It's all just bullshit. Anyway, we're in a very corrupt country. It's a sad state of affairs that people run for the money. They don't run to help. That's what I do here. I'm doing this to help. I'm doing this to educate. That's the thing. But if I find somebody who doesn't know how to agree with me, like a Rickard or Peter Schiff or whatever, I don't want them brought in the classroom because they don't add value. They're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not economists. And it's like I was watching Rick Rule, and I wrote some dirty comments on his thing saying, "You're not a fucking Austrian. You don't know what you're talking about." And I got him to admit in one of the next episodes, he said, "I'm a credit analyst." Yeah, you're not an economist. You're a credit analyst. So get the fuck off my TV. Get off of YouTube pretending you're an economist. He's a scammer. He's Madoff trying to get you in ETFs. Don't get into ETFs. Get out of that. Careful with the stocks because they're not real gold. You don't want to be in anything. You don't want to be in a 401k, an IRA that's gold because you don't own it. The only gold you should be in is the kind you can put in your hand. And that's where we're at. So be careful. Anyway, so I'll go to the gold store tomorrow, Saturday. I'll report. He's had gold. People are coming in, selling their gold, thinking it's near their all-time high, the all-time price fixed high, and off they go. So it's just actually we're lucky that we're able to still buy it at this low price is how you have to look at it and just know you can see the setup. Everybody wants out of the dollar, and the only option is gold. The Titanic's sinking. The only option is this gold ship. That's it. That's where you're going. So, the ship's sinking and gold's the only option to go to. So that should make you feel pretty good. And it's just how long does it take for the ship to sink and for you to go to the gold ship? And that's what we're waiting for. And I can't give you that answer. Soon, I would say we'll see what happens in August. We'll see the movement. I think it will happen pretty soon. I'd say maybe let's take a look at October, and when the market normally crashes is in October. So we will see. People have to understand that the dollar's gone, that this is worthless, and people don't yet. Oh, I'm in oil stocks. I'm in Amazon. I'm in Microsoft. So as long as people think that and think the banks are safe. Now, some banks got downgraded by Mooney today, are about to go out. That should scare more people, hopefully, into gold. And then we just got to blow up COMEX. Then we get our 30, 40,000, or the Brics countries with the gold will make it 30, 40,000 an ounce. And then they know that they want to fuck the U.S. You got to understand that. So that's what's happening. All right. Anything else before I go relax and get ready for bed? Nice short day tomorrow, and then the weekend and some more gold. And I got to get Jenna a plane ticket for the Warsaw-Berlin flight, which is an hour 25, about $300. But it's only an hour and a half. The trains are like 10 hours, 15 hours. It's insane. So anyway, that's where we're at. So the idea is to understand what I'm teaching. I'm teaching you. I'm not selling you. Except for football, of course. But I'm teaching you what's going on. Even football, I'm teaching you. So try to understand that when we talk economics, gold, silver, girls, poker, I'm teaching. So just take that for what it's worth and then try to understand it and ask questions as you guys do. But that's the purpose of it. It's a class. So anyway, have a good night. www.teaserking.com. Sign up for football. You got a few weeks. Again, if you want to make, the season's $750. If you want to pay me $250, not a problem. $400, $350, not a problem. You can buy the locks, I think, are $500. But it just makes sense to buy the whole year. It's only $750 for 20 weeks through the Super Bowl, through the playoffs, college playoffs. I think it's like $30 it works out to $30 a week. Otherwise, it's $100 a week. It's $75 a week for pro or college, or $100 for both. So if you do that times 20, that's $2,000. So you do the math. But again, it's whatever you're comfortable with. But again, we can chop it into a couple of payments if that's a problem. And then you can go and buy gold and silver with what we do. So that'll be the benefit of it. Otherwise, I think that's about it. I'm getting a little tired. www.teaserking.com. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. I'll be here Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and we will discuss what's going on. Andrew McGuire's tomorrow morning. He should be without a guest, so it might actually be watchable. Last week's was unwatchable and just pathetic. So he's good when he's explaining. Like, he should have some Brics, and then I'll keep my eye out for Egon and Alligator and report in on those. So anyway, have a nice night. Have a good weekend, and I will see you Saturday. All right, take care. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.